Welcome to America's Day at the Races on our FS1 coverage. We have live action, start of the Pick 5 coming up immediately. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling with you here on the desk, and we're going to kick off this sequence here in race 4.
A little bonus coverage here, Greg.
Yeah, we were not expecting to get this one in, but things worked out perfectly. New York bred, allowance optional claiming field, 1-turn mile, and Chris Griffin with the call.
All set. And they're off. Breaking awkwardly with Stone Creator, broke outward. Tough Street has got early speed. It's Tough Street right out to the front now. Stone Creator collects herself, is out in the center of the racetrack, is moving forward, and Stone Creator is ready to challenge and take the lead. Down to the inside is going to be Bustin' Bay. They are well spread out here as they come out of the chute. Karamoka's in behind them. Saving ground will be Shinful at the rail, is now in the 4th spot, and the trailer is Curly Girl. Still well out into the center of the racetrack, Stone Creator and Kender Carmouche doing it well enough. They're up by 2. Right to the outside here comes Tough Street. Down at the rail is Bustin' Bay. Shinful is now moving forward, is splitting rivals, and has plenty of room here towards the inside. Is still well off the rail is Stone Creator. The 2 at the back, Karamoka and Curly Girl. They went 23 and 3 for the opening quarter mile, and Stone Creator is still in front. Less than 4 furlongs to go, went 47 seconds flat for that half-mile time. The rail is open here for Bustin' Bay, who's trying to burst on through. Tough Street is up alongside here, but Stone Creator's got plenty so far. Tough Street is now within a half length of the lead. Shinful is losing ground from the back. Karamoka and Curly Girl, they approach a quarter mile left to go. Stone Creator has asked for the effort, but here comes Tough Street, and Tough Street is in hand, and Tough Street now gets the cue out in the center of the racetrack. Tough Street is now a nose in front. Stone Creator is not done to the inside, is battling on back. Back there in third is Bustin' Bay. Less than a furlong to go, and Tough Street is trying to put away a very game Stone Creator is doing just that. It's going to be Tough Street who's striding away, is now up by 2. Tough Street, Dylan Davis will get the score. It's all Tough Street. Stone Creator second, Bustin' Bay, and Curly Girl in 1 minute 37.24 seconds.
Late Pick 5 here at Aqueduct. It begins with Tough Street, trained by Chad Brown. Dylan Davis aboard for the win, and she's now 4 for 6 at Aqueduct.
And Dylan Davis, at least for now, has kept himself out of the Chad Brown doghouse completely after he got disqualified in the first time start of the third race for coming out in the stretch. And there's something about this horse, and I'd actually be interested to talk to my assistant trainer, Dan Stupp, whomever, or Dylan Davis, if they want to keep her wide. Because last time out it appeared to be a gold rail, at least it appeared to be, it may or may not have been, and he kept her out the way outside and way out in the middle of the racetrack. So maybe they've decided that she's a horse that just doesn't want to be anywhere near the rail. And while Stone Creator bobbled it little at the start, she was no better than second best.
Slight second choice here at 8-5 to kick off this Pick 5. Daughter of Speightster with a convincing victory. And yeah, same game plan again today. Keep her wide of that rail, and it pays off for Tough Street. Now 4 for 9 overall. Hello, everybody. Good to be with you. Greg Wolf alongside Andy Serling. Live action as well from Oaklawn later today. Love that card here today. We're also going to preview the weekend coming up on the Kentucky Derby Trail with the Gotham here in New York on Saturday.
I don't think I've ever seen a more wide open race than the Gotham. 15 entered, only 14 can run. But whether or not, you talk to somebody who likes a different horse than you, I wouldn't disregard anybody's selection in this race. It is an absolutely wide open race and a fun race on what figures to be a really fun day of racing.
You don't see fields like that are so wide open very often, especially on the Derby Trail and in these preps.
And also horses that you're just not really sure who they are at this point in their careers. It's a fun race. Looking forward to the show and talking about them tomorrow.
Meanwhile, feature here in Aqueduct this afternoon. It is a good one. And Backed by Gold comes in incredibly sharp form here. 6 furlong sprint in the feature. 2 wins and a narrow defeat in a runner-up finish in the last 3 outings for this 5-year-old mare.
One of the worst things we can say is there's a lot of speed in a race, because there appears to be plenty of speed in this race, but who knows? I don't like Backed by Gold here. My center of my play is to play against her. There were a number of races that got buyer figures that were fairly gaudy that day, including Backed by Gold, whose 75 buyer towers over any races she's ever run before. Just numbers they haven't run back to for whatever reason, and I wonder if this is not a reliable number to go to. Royal Currency, who was second to her, has finished second quite a bit, but has come back and not run particularly well in 2 starts, and I'm going to try to beat her and hope the old Pro Ruby's in Time, who looks like she's moving up off a claim for $25,000, but I don't think she is.
Yeah, her last 2 starts have not been good. 3 starts before that, any of those, much the best against this field.
But then again, sometimes the last starts are more important. She
Yeah.
did meet the boys last time for whatever it's worth.
All right, that is the feature. That is coming up in race 7 on today's card at Aqueduct. Let's head out to Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Let's.
4th race we'll get to coming up momentarily. It's approaching the 11-minute mark to post. Their co-feature. They're going to close out their card with this race right here. 2-turn mile, entry-level allowance, and Jedrick has been on quite a roll of late. Back-to-back wins. And looks like he's in a great position to do it again. He's done it from different kind of running styles as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's an interesting horse in there. Listen, I know, Greg, it's been hard for you. The Scratcher Barber Road, you took it hard. I had to comfort Greg a little earlier, but Jedrick's one who was improving. I think with the 6 scratch, though, do you worry that, don't forget, maybe Paul has a comment on this, could be a dangerous stretch out of here, the 2.
Well, let's go to Paul LaDuca live in Hot Springs. What do you feel about Jedrick, Paulie?
Well, he's kind of a tough horse to read, right? It took him a while to break his maiden, and then, boom, the light bulb went on, and he came back and he won again. And I thought it was in impressive fashion, and he did not get bet. He was 18-1 that day. And you could say there's a big scratch with Barber Road. I think a lot of people were maybe thinking they would bet against Barber Road today. Now, the track is listed as muddy. Now, the good thing about it is that there is no more rain coming. It is a little bit windy out as you're taking a look at Jedrick last race. And, you know, he showed a lot of guts. It looked like he was swarmed, everybody inside, outside. And you could see that Nicky Juarez was trying to point himself maybe at the competition to the outside and then realized the horse to the inside was the horse he had to deal with. And he just went away from that competition. I don't know what's changed. There's no blinkers, there's no geldings, there's nothing's really changed on this horse that's improved. But I thought the 7 was very, very interesting in here for Norm Cash. There's not a lot of pace in here with some scratches. And then Tonka Warrior. Tonka Warrior needs to get out of the gate. He's the other player in this race. And I think the one, Jedrick, might be a horse that will probably get overbet because I think this is a step up in class, Greg. This is going to be the best field that he's faced.
Paulie, thanks. A lot more from Paul coming up later. I agree with him. Tonka Warrior looks like the main challenger. An outlier is scary with the speed he has. A horse who was in the Cigar Mile not that long ago.
Yeah, we haven't seen Lynn Cash run that money at Oaklawn. Many horses there, and he's run at a lot of other racetracks, that's for sure.
Today's action presented by Claiborne Farm. So we'll have races 5 through 8 ahead on the fast going in New York. And as Paulie mentioned, muddy at Oaklawn as we approach the 9-minute mark to post in race number 4 on the card out in Hot Springs. You could play it all by getting signed up, started with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. You get that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. New members punch in this code to take advantage of that offer, bonus 200, and you're good to go. Once again, at NairaBets.com. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. We'll talk the Bond Barn 007 when we return. It's a true family operation. And along with his wife, Tina, they are living out their dream. More on how the Bonds are so successful when we return. Stay with us.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. Now his first foals have arrived. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS1 coverage. Good to be with you on this Friday afternoon. It's brought to you in part where you can play it all at NYRABets.com. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. For Bond Racing, it is truly a family operation. Based in Saratoga, their horses always seem to shine during the summer months in upstate New York. From Travers winner Will's Way to Whitney winner Tisway, Barron's, Buddha, and many others, James and his wife Tina are living out their dream as best friends and business partners.
As a little boy, this was a dream. We've got a farm that most people would die for. It's gorgeous. We're so proud of it. I think it was predestined for us to have New York breds. I was lucky enough to have a horse called Le Carriere. Le Carriere was second to Cigar in the Breeders' Cup in '95. He was a New York bred. You know, New York's really getting it right. I mean, you look at Tiz the Law, Funny Side, so many great horses, Four-Star Dave. So you're seeing them every day at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, throughout the country. They're winning races. It's the greatest program, in my opinion. And, you know, we're lucky we're breeders too, so we get a few more awards.
We breed a lot of our own horses, but we have bought some of them as well and put into the partnership. We maintain the majority of each horse, and we sell 5–10% shares. We're heavily invested in each horse as well. It helps us with the risk, but it also gives them a lot of comfort in that we're taking the majority of the risk. These horses are professional athletes, and they're your sports team when they're going in the gate. And for us to share this with so many people across the country that have joined our partnership, and that's really rewarding.
We found this place and we redid it. We've had it for 23 years. It's 44 Gridley Street. We're a quarter of a mile basically down from the 7-furlong pole on the main track. And it's a little piece of heaven. The walk is the greatest thing for me personally because I get to follow my horses, watch them come back, I can make sure that they're okay all the time. It's actually an education process because the horses actually get to be around vehicles, cars, but the horses get used to it. We use clear cord a little bit to do some figure eights inside, just to kind of give horses back that farm life that they started with. I think it's great. The horses are out of the stall for about an hour, you know, which is really nice for the horses. We've been fortunate enough to have some really nice horses, and some of them were a little slow early in their life, mentally, physically, and they became good horses.
They're giving their all, striding with every stride. Will's Way has won it.
Will's Way was a horse that threw his heart out and he chased it. He was amazing. One of my greatest horses, if not the greatest.
My heart always went to Barron's. He ran 6 grade ones, I think, in a row, and he went to Dubai twice. He was just an iron horse.
Tisway takes the Met Mile with style.
Tisway won the Met Mile, and of course the Whitney, and you know, then was syndicated to Spendthrift. And he was a good horse. Buddha was an exceptional horse. He was a star. He beat Medal d'Oro in the Wood Memorial. They just wanted more. That's all you can say, you know, and that, you know, we're just lucky to be around them.
We bring different things to the table. I come from a corporate background, and he's the horse person, so I think I see things from different ways.
Well, I was her dream job, okay? We got to straighten it out right now, okay? It's fantastic. We are best friends. We've been best friends for 40-some-odd years. When you work with your best friend, great things happen, and I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
Always great to see that barn win. They had a winner to kick off today's card, Incantation. I know a horse you liked beginning the action back in the opener. They have a chance here with the entry. Kaiarasa Follini in the entry right now, the 6-5 favorites here.
Seems like such a long time ago, Greg, that I like the winner of the first race, but nice to see them get the win, and they have the horse to beat in here. This horse is supposed to be the controlling speed. I took a small shot to beat her with the 5, but Follini has really run well in her last 2 starts.
Back to Oaklawn, race 4, 2-turn mile. It's a $7,500 claiming race, so they're all for sale. Horses who have not won 2 lifetime. And the favorite, Tom Hanks fans, with the Robertino Diodoro run of the 6. Off the claim, adding blinkers. Let's go to Paula Duca for more.
Yeah, Greg, and I think this horse is the favorite, obviously, because it's Robertino Diodoro, but this horse is dropping from 30 down to 7,500, and I think a lot of people are a little cautious of that, but Robertino's already done that, 3 or 4 times at this meet, and he's cashed a couple times. So when you look at the purse structure here for a $7,500 race, it's a $26,000 pot. So he basically gets out on the horse, or he breaks even on the $30,000 claim. And, you know, maybe with the gamble, you get a little bit extra here at 6 to 5. When you look at this race, where's the pace come from? I would think it comes from Hanks. You know, putting the blinkers on, coming out of sprints races, dropping in class. Why not go to the front end? Now, I did speak to Jason Barkley, the trainer of the one, earlier this morning, and he was interested in me and asking me, what should I do with the one? And he was thinking about sending the one because his issue was, listen, I think the one has some speed. We claimed the horse last time out because the horse has just been getting taken back, and we wanted to claim him as in a horse that wanted to go long and show some speed. So I think the one, Jim and Jim, who's getting bet a tiny bit, is going to be the other horse that can maybe stay up with Hanks, or is going to try to at least stay close enough to stay in striking distance. The 2 Beyblader, I'm a little bit surprised that the 6 is even money compared to the 2. I thought they'd be a little bit closer. This is another horse dropping for $7,500 for Eddie Keneally. Eddie has only had 2 starts here. Hasn't had many horses that have come here to Oaklawn, but he does have a winner. He gets Nick Juarez, and I thought this horse was really a better proposition. And it was a big scratch here at the 8 because the 8 was the other horse in here. I just can't fall in love with anybody else in here. I thought this race was 2-6 or 6-2, guys. I really didn't see anything else.
Why?
All right, Paulie, thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's 2 horses dominating the board here. The 6 at even money, the 2 at 2 to 1. You had talked about this quite a bit, you know, the last few weeks of the meet. Robertino Diodoro, who trains the 6, when he claims horses and stretches them out, he is a lot more successful than when he keeps them sprinting.
Yeah, now the 50% drop is sort of weird. I mean, a drop was claimed for 30, and he's running for 7,500 here. And just to be clear, the purse is 26,000, so that's 15,006 to the winner. So this horse wins and gets claimed, and they're going to lose about $10,000, probably a little more after paying the rider. So this is not a winning situation, but not a horse I'm looking to bet against. And both the 2 and 6 are $30,000 claims. They're running for 7,500. Not a good sign, but I don't have opinions against them.
Big drops for those 2. Form is tough to find for really everybody else in this field, and that's why you see double-digit numbers just about across the board elsewhere. Jim Byers with the call. Race 4 from Oaklawn. Here we go.
Situation, Namesake, and the last one in is Quality Run. They're in the gate. They're off. Excellent start. Hanks on the stretch out, heading to the lead. Super Geek and Beyblader on the inside, out well. Namesake 4th on the outside. Galactic Empire is 5th. Risky Situation moves into 6th. And then down on the inside comes Jim and Jim, followed by First Rate. And a 4-length break to Quality Run. At the back end of the field, as the favorite, Hanks leads him onto the backstretch by 2 lengths. Namesake on the outside, second by a head. Super Geek in between horses, Beyblader, the gray right on the inside. That's the second flight behind Hanks as they move up to the backstretch. Then a big break back to Jim and Jim, and Risky Situation alongside him. A 3-wide Galactic Empire, and then it is quite far back to First Rate and Quality Run. The finish line is the 16th pole. They're heading toward the far turn, and Hanks with the advantage here, a little more than a length. And Namesake is maintaining second, and Namesake is a length off of Hanks. Hanks with the lead starts to widen a bit now as they get to the midpoint on the turn. No serious contenders yet, at least for Hanks. He's leading it by 3. Namesake is second, Beyblader third, Galactic Empire to the outside 4th. A pretty good break back to Jim and Jim as they straighten away in the upper stretch. It is still Hanks as they come to the first finish line. Hanks with a good-sized lead here, and Beyblader is racing into second, and then comes Namesake, and in the final steps, it is Hanks, decisively by 4. Beyblader was second. Namesake was third. Quality Run, Galactic Empire photo for 4th.
The only two you could realistically make a case for in here, they run 1-2, and Hank's much the best. Diodoro off the claim.
And the only question is, how many people went in for Hanks? Because you imagine they were lining up in the claim box to get him and clear the lead like he looked like he would on paper. Big scratch of the 8, the other main speed coming out of there, and he just cruised around the racetrack. The drop downs run 1-2 for the chalky number.
And 1-2 on Hanks in the end. Heavy favoritism. Post parade, race 5 here, start of the pick 4, 6 furlong sprint for New York bred maiden claimers. And here's the entry for the Bon Barn.
If for some reason you like Kayarasa, the 1, you can't really bet her because she'd be about 12-1 on her own.
Luckily,
Maybe
you get this
8-1.
one as well. Fellini.
Yeah, Fellini is way the horse to beat in here. Really survived what was a very, very tough pace duel last time.
They'll
Very
break
well.
from post 3 and 4, respectively. The rail to the 2.
I just don't know what to say with Follow the Fed. I guess the best thing you can say is that she finally improved her fig last time.
Get a big drop in class for Bustin' Roxy, the 3.
She's a bit of a fuzzy in this race, but did no running first time, a trainer change as well, and rider change.
Here's My Gorgeous. Jackie Davis rides.
A horse that's just going to have to improve even in this bunch.
Cutting back in distance, has not shown a lot. The 5 Magnolia winned 8-1 with Dylan Davis.
Took a small shot with this one. Dylan will look for 2 in a row. Off the claim. Showed a little something first time out.
Brother, sister next door to each other in the starting gate. Aaron Warrior for David Donk drops back down in class.
Yes, one of a number of 3-year-olds in here, and I believe this is our first race where the 3-year-olds are running with older horses.
4 Courts at 40-1 blinkers coming off.
Coming off 2 negative Beyer performances does not inspire confidence.
And Mrs. Bell, the better efforts came at Penn National.
Last year when that Wayne Potts, Bonnie Lucas barn was lighting it up, seems like a long, long time ago.
7-2 taking money though.
Why?
Pick 4 starts here. We welcome in for the first time today, Maggie Wolfendale. Hi, Maggie.
Hey, Greg. As horses are starting their warm-ups out here on the track, and I'm underdressed. It's gotten a bit chilly out here today. A little bit of a breeze and clouding over, but I think we'll be able to make it through this card without any inclement weather and maintain this fast track. But let's check in with your favorite in the letter part of the entry, Fellini, as the guys were saying, taking most of the money. She's one that, yes, this is her 8th start, but in her previous efforts, she would just get very nervous prior, and today she really hasn't done it that much. Just kind of that shaking, just kind of scatterbrain all over the paddock. And today she just seems so much more focused and well within herself. Now she's wearing that hood, which she has for the last at least 3 times that she's run for the Bon Barn. And as Andy said, her last effort definitely makes her a winner. But let's check in with some second-time starters. A 3-year-old Bustin' Roxy. She didn't do much running in what was a much tougher field of New York breds, with Downtown Mischief just looking like she might be a future star in that New York bred filly division, winning quite easily. She was kind of up close and then just didn't really have much to offer. I wouldn't say that close, but in contention and then backed right up. She's just so much more professional this time, though. She was so green in the preliminaries as she takes the plummet in class, and she is warming up nicely by herself with Manny Franco aboard. She's so much more fit. I think she's a little interesting. Just for the fact that I think she takes a step forward here in her second start. And then Magnolia wins. She was picked up out of that debut, and she did a lot of kind of running in spots. You know, she didn't break that well. Then she kind of went up, and then they got to the turn. She kind of got squeezed back. She started running backwards, and then she kind of came on again when she got out in the clear. So adding blinkers is a very, very logical and I would think advantageous step. Now, they just put a shortcut cheater blinker on her. She looks fine overall. I maybe don't like her quite as much as what I did in her debut, but still one that certainly could improve. And you're getting a generous price right now, Greg, at 9-1.
Maggie, thanks. Meanwhile, the entry at even money. Here as we get set for the start of this Pig 4, your thoughts on even money on this entry?
I think that even money is the right price. It's not the one. The one has minimal chance on paper. Yeah, I think Fellini, I mean, where is the form to go on? I mean, I'm trying the 5. On a bit of a wing and a prayer to improve. The 4 ran very well last time. That pace completely fell apart. You might remember Flattering Gal. No Flattering Gal. She's the one easing out the widest of all. It's that Eric Cancel swing out move. She came from way back. The horse outside was the first-time start for Rudy Rodrigues, was the co-favorite. That horse was involved in the pace of this horse. That horse finished 5th, just fell apart. Fellini doesn't fall apart. Fellini runs very, very well. This horse, the time before that race, basically fell apart. Fellini's been a bit against the dynamics of races 2 times, which to me indicates a horse that's running better than it looks. And from a speed figure standpoint, the horse is the horse to beat anyway. I took a shot with the 5, but I don't think it's unlikely. And clearly, that horse that got put up in the 3rd race been involved in some multi-race bets that are paying significantly shorter than the parlay that have hit and are coming up in the pick 4 and pick 5.
Something's been missing in our lives.
I think a lot's missing in my life.
Jonathan Kinchin, we finally bring him in. JK, what are your thoughts here in the first leg of this pick 4?
Look, I like the 1A Fellini, but I just the price that you're getting, partially because the horse is being bet, but also because it's in the entry, kind of made me lean a little bit elsewhere. I'm going to go a little bit further towards the outside with a 6, Aaron Warrior. Horse ran horrible last time. I mean, I don't even know if you want to call it ran. Jogged around there horrible last time. But the race 2 back, the debut race for Dave Donk, this horse ran pretty good. Attended an honest enough pace. Got a nice enough final speed figure. I think the cutback from the 6.5 to the 6 works in this one's favor based off of that performance. And let's not forget who Dave Donk is. He's not a trainer who typically fires away first time out. Throughout his career with first-time starters, he's only 6%. He's won 28 races out of 473 with first-time starters. So if a horse runs well for him first time out, I think you can always expect that horse to take another step forward. The problem is last time they ran against maiden special weight, which he must have liked to try to keep the horse protected. They didn't run particularly well. And now they show up back in here for a tag, and I'm hoping that we'll get that kind of second time out Dave Donk improvement, but just in his 3rd race.
Jonathan, thanks. 9-1. I'm surprised he's that number at 9-1 in here. I know you didn't like him a lot. He does take a big drop from that State Bred Maiden Special. 4-5 now on this entry. Is there a chance Fellini? Look, his best figure was turf.
It's arguable that you don't really want to bet these lower level horses at shorter prices, but I don't have a case against them. As I said, I bet the 5. Magnolia Wind, who I think has a chance to really improve, is the only horse I would take. I don't like the 6, and I don't really get the 3 either.
Loading in. There's the one JK likes, Aaron Warrior, 8-1. David Donk getting easier. Start number 3. There's the other half of the entry. That's Fellini. Should be leading the way. Can she seal the deal today, finally, after giving up the lead late each of the last 2 starts? Chris Griffin with the 5th from Aqueduct.
Goes in. All in line. All set. And they're off. Step slow for Bustin' Roxy, who broke last, but is moving through quickly, splits rivals, and will challenge Fellini for the early lead. It's Fellini with a head in front. There's plenty of pace on here as Bustin' Roxy was hard sent, is now going to take back. Magnolia Wind is going to stalk from the 2nd spot, gets a nice spot up on the outside. Aaron Warrior is shoved along, and towards the far outside there comes 4 Courts as they work towards 4 furlongs left to go. Towards the back end of the field is Follow the Fed, who's in the red cap, gets passed by Mrs. Bell, who's got a wide run, then Kairosa, and the trailer is My Gorgeous. Fellini has got the lead. It's Fellini who moves into that far turn. 22-4 was that opening quarter mile. Trying to re-rally to the inside is Bustin' Roxy. Hasn't been the easiest trip, but is running on. Magnolia Wind is under a drive. Aaron Warrior from the back with Follow the Fed. They're within 5 of the lead. Fellini with a quarter mile left to go. Went 47 seconds flat for that half-mile time and kicks for home. It's Fellini who's up by 2 widening lengths. Up on the far outside, Mrs. Bell starts to roll there with Aaron Warrior. A final furlong to get here for Fellini. Can they catch Fellini on the front end? Aaron Warrior chasing Mrs. Bell. It's a scramble on here for the Miners right now as Fellini is almost there. Fellini still up by a length and a half. Aaron Warrior with one last push. Fellini, Jamie Torres, a triple. Fellini gets the victory over Aaron Warrior. Then a photo. Mrs. Bell is in there with Bustin' Roxy and Magnolia Wind in 1 minute 13.61 seconds.
Fellini able to control on the front end and no one really making up that much ground. The 6 getting up for 2nd, but Fellini graduates today.
When you go from being in contested pace races to being able to set your own pace on the front end, it's just going to make your job easier. And let's be fair, it didn't help that hurt, I should say, that she was running against horses that just weren't that good. So she's able to get it done, and the Bond Bark is alive and awake today with 2 wins today. Congrats to them.
Yeah, take the opener, get one here in the 5th. 1A, 6 close for 3rd. We'll make it official when we come back. But if you like that 6 underneath, go with Andy and JK selections, 4 to 5 over 8 to 1. Create a little value there. It is a photo for show. Fellini, your winner. Owned and trained by James Bond, and big day for Jamie Torres. We'll be back right after this.
An obligatory goes by the ball. Then wins it. Here comes Malatha. Here comes Clariere on the outside, and it's got to be Clariere. Nest, much the best. She won by better than 10 lengths. An elite power gets up to win the sprint. Outside, it's Malatha coming to the wire. Who's it gonna be? Here's the wire. Oh, the wish has come true. That one's for you, Cody.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKinsey. McKinsey Preservationist Vino Rosso and Yoshida. McKinsey's in front.
McKinsey, they've done it. McKinsey has it by 2.
It's McKinsey in a dominant performance. Pure class in the Malibu.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races is brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Start of the late pick 4. Fellini this time is able to seal the deal and finish on the front end.
Yeah, just such a difference in dynamics getting it done, and Prentice gets the job done. Rode both winners for the Bonds, and a favorite that made a lot of sense. Finished in front.
3 today for this 7-pound apprentice rider, Jamie Torres.
Definitely helped him that Gomez lost the bug.
No question.
Now the
Clipson
number
Ward
1
winning apprentice. Yeah, Jose Gomez now a journeyman.
Right.
And now this young man along with Jason Wyas seem like they're
I agree. I like
taking
Jason
over as the top apprentices on the circuit. $3.60 for the win. Early pick 5, $211.50 for the victory. If you happen to hit that sequence, we could do better than that in the late pick 5. 2 legs in. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Road to the Derby. Stopping in New York tomorrow in the Gotham 1-turn mile. And Lugan Knight back up his Jerome win with another victory. Stay with us.
west, the quarter pole. With Secretariat now in front by a length and a quarter. Champagne Charlie on the outside up to challenge. Down the stretch they come. Secretariat on the rail. Champagne Charlie on the outside, an eighth of a mile to the finish. Secretariat on the inside in front by half a length. Champagne Charlie second, 70 yards from the finish. It's Secretariat now in front.
1973, Gotham, the great Secretariat, tied a track record for a mile. He'd equaled the mark for 6 furlongs in the race, being much more forwardly placed than he usually was in a Ron Turcotte.
And look at all those cars in the parking lot come to see Secretariat, and the legendary Dave, Dave Johnson making the call.
41,998 on him.
There you go, right? Really incredible. And of course, that's before we took out the inner turf course. The outer turf course put the inner turf course in, and now the inner dirt course in, and now we've got the turf back. And there he is, the mighty Secretariat. Champagne Charlie running his eyeballs out, by the way. Run second.
He ran his race there. He got beat in the wood.
Yeah, it's a bum.
Triple Crown winner, of course, after that Wood Memorial defeat. This year's edition of the Derby, next stop is the Gotham Saturday here in New York. One of many stops on a very busy road to the Derby this Saturday. And we talked about it earlier. Wide open group 14 will go postward, including the Jerome winner, Lugan Knight, General Banker as well, who was third in this race.
Yeah, this is a real test for Lugan Knight. It's not that he isn't necessarily shown he may be talented enough to win, but there's a big difference between this race where he was able to control in a fairly moderate pace on a track that was extremely kind to his running style. Now he's in a race that really looks to be loaded with speed, so the likelihood that he's going to get the same kind of comfortable trip seems fairly minimal. We'll see if he can adapt to circumstances, and if you're his trainer, Michael McCarthy, who doesn't really have Derby dreams for him, I think he thinks he's more of a one-turn type horse, he wants to find out more about his horse. He certainly wants to win, but you also have to find out how does he do in a tougher situation against better horses.
Maybe a mile, about as much as he wants to do?
Well, those Grade 1 Woody Stevens and the Grade 1 Alan Jerkins are pretty good races for horses that don't want to go the classic distances.
Did have a win sprinting when he was able to just sit and stalk in here. But yeah, there looks like there is a lot of speed signed on, including to his outside with more of the contenders in this group, including one for Brad Cox. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, Brad Cox, I will actually send out the morning line top 2 choices, very lukewarm given that 14-horse field. But Slip Mahoney does return to this Gotham off the back of an 87 buyer, which is the co-top figure coming into this race, as we will take a look back at that maiden victory, in which it was hard fought, but albeit he did it on a track which was conducive to early speed and to inside runners. So, you kind of have to weigh it against each other. And 2, despite him having the pedigree to suggest that he wants to go this far, being an Arrogate out of Got Lucky, an AP Indy mare who was pretty darn good herself going along on the dirt, he hasn't quite physically transformed into that type. So I think a mile he might be topping out at, but hey, Greg, that's all he has to do again tomorrow. And I like the progression he showed from a fitness standpoint, but this is a deep field and just a full handicapping puzzle that I'm really looking forward to getting to tomorrow.
You almost had to do a double take when you looked at it. 14 lining up and your morning line favorite 4-1.
The first couple times I went through the race handicapping it, I just threw the paper down and said, I have absolutely no idea who's going to win this race. How you could possibly come. I took a horse at a price.
Road to the Derby. This is what has happened so far in New York. Hit show, Brad Cox and the Withers. And, speaking of Lugan Knight, that's why they skipped the Withers. Didn't want to do the mile and an eighth. Stay at a mile. They'll get that tomorrow. And you never know. Wins impressively. If he happens to, then maybe they'll test those waters just to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Let's say he runs a big race in here. The Wood Memorial comes up. It's a lot of money. You're inclined to maybe want to take a chance. But Michael McCarthy's been around a lot of good horses for people not familiar with him. Of course, he had the terrific City of Light, who some people could argue could have been a horse of the year. But he also trained as assistant trainer for Todd Pletcher. So he's been around some very good horses. And I love the fact that he's being realistic with this horse. I think you really have to respect that.
Yeah. Easy to get caught up in Derby fever. To this point, these connections have not.
And easy to get caught up in Derby fever to the detriment of your horse.
Yeah. Back at Oaklawn. Saw Hanks win at 1-2. Next up, it's late pick 5 time, and Arkansas breds kick it off in a low-level maiden claiming sprint at 6 furlongs. This one is a puzzler to kick it off. Let's go to Paula Duca to sort things out.
Yeah, I always like to sort out some puzzles, Greg, and this is a puzzler in here because when you look at the PPs in here, you kind of gravitate towards the 5 and the 12, the two first-time starters in here, because when you go to some of these fillies, a lot of their form is just kind of all over the place. Now, when you look at the will pays in the pick 5, the lowest one by far is the 4, Dancing in the Pulpit. It's like $200, and when you look at the 12, that's a $750 50-cent pick 5. So the 4s really, well, at least got hammered in the multis when it comes over to pick 4s and pick 5s. And this is a horse for Kelsey Hart and Al Cates. And we've mentioned this before. The drop from maiden special weight, you see the purse, $90K, down to a 12.5, which is a $26,000 purse. So that's a giant drop. So I can understand why this horse is 7-2. Do I love this horse? I mean, I don't know if you can off those couple races, but has shown speed and does go back to a couple of races where, you know, she would be included in the equation in here. And at 7-2, she's definitely got a good look. I thought the 7, a seal, would get more money on the tote board considering she got bet last time, but she just didn't really run well, and she's sort of getting the same racetrack today, so I was kind of against her. Like I said, the two first-time I talked to Ron McQuaid. He basically told me, yeah, she can run Wonder Strike to 12. I'm just worried about her getting out of the gate. I'm glad that she actually drew the complete outside. Some trainers, he even said, some trainers, when they draw the complete outside, they break the open space, but he thought it'd be better for her because, you know, she can break out of the gate and at least get out of there last, and thought she had some talent. And he also told me, listen, I've heard the 5 horse here, the first-time starter, does have a little gas early, and I think that's why that horse is getting bet. So a confusing race like most of these are here. And I was going to land on the 4, Dancing in the Pulpit. I didn't think this horse would be bet this much at 7-2. So I'll land on the 12, the first-time starter for Ron Moquette at 7-1. I just think you're getting a good price. Although I do think the 4, the public might have it right.
All right, Paulie, thanks. We'll have this race for you when we come back from a short timeout. It is the start of a late pick 5 that is a very difficult sequence to try and put together. We'll be back to kick things off of the sequence right after this on America's Day at the Races.
Every hair, every muscle, every contour, every pulse. In the juvenile,
Essential Quality have won.
in the Belmont,
Essential Quality has won the Belmont Stakes.
well named.
Would you believe that champions weren't measured by rings, but by a crown? That the history books were written on dirt? That the greatest of all time was a horse?
He is moving like a tremendous machine.
Experience the magic at this year's Belmont Stakes as we honor the 50th anniversary of Secretariat's legendary Triple Crown triumph. Join the celebration at Belmont Park on Saturday, June 10th. Tickets on sale now at BelmontStakes.com.
Gunrunner is the sire of 6 Grade 1 winners from his first crop. He leads all stallions standing in North America by percentage of Grade 1 winners, percentage of Grade 1 stakes horses, percentage of stakes horses, and percentage of stakes winners. Owner Breeder Magazine wrote, 3 Chimneys is home to one of the most exciting young stallions in North America, one that is already eliciting comparisons with Danzig and Mr. Prospector. Gunrunner.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here on America's Day at the Races on FS1. We are back here at Aqueduct in South Ozone Park, Queens, in the paddock for today's 6th race. It is for the 3-year-old fillies. Optional allowance claimer going the 6 furlongs, and your current favorite is a second-time starter. How's your cash flow? I gotta say, I'm not sure how to read this filly because she debuted for a maiden 20, and when she showed up in the paddock, she didn't look like she should have been in a maiden 20 because she was just bigger and more imposing and impressive. She would have fit quite nicely physically with a maiden special weight group. So you kind of wonder, well, is there something wrong here? And then she was entered back on January 22nd. She was listed as a vet scratch in this same race. She shows up here. Front wraps go on. Physically, she looks much the same. If anything, she's being more professional. She was kind of bewildered in the paddock here first time out, but she's a lot more calm. Physically looks about the same, but I don't know. I don't know if I fully trust her coming back here to face winners for the first time. Shipping in from Laurel is number 2, Grace and Charm. She was disappointing in her last effort, which was in the extra heat. She kind of had to be hustled to keep pace the whole way, and before that, she was able to kind of get her way on the front end or towards the front end when she broke her maiden. She always looked like a winner that day. You know, she fits well with this group, and Brittany Russell does do a fantastic job, as her record would indicate, and her horses show up looking that way most times. She was a little bit nervous. One I want to continue watching, and how she behaves actually has settled down a little bit since they've gotten the tack on her, but shows up here looking the part physically here as she currently sits at 8-1 for her Naira debut, as we get it back upstairs to Greg and Andy.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Yeah, what do you do with how's your cash flow? We're looking at the 2. We're talking about the 3, though, who is the 2-1 favorite right now. Big debut, 3rd-place finisher. Came back to win out of that race. Who she'll line up against in here? That's Will Be Famous, who's at 7-1 right now.
I actually would like to see if we could ask Maggie a question. And I respect it. Maggie loved how this horse looked. The Maggie's not the only one who told me that, but I respect Maggie's opinion as much, not more than anybody's. If this horse looks so good in the paddock, and I'm sure she's right, why did nobody claim this horse? They claim first-time stars around here.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering a little bit.
Back to Hot Springs in the first leg of this late pick 5 that includes those 2 very intriguing first allowance condition races to close out the card. Races 8 and 9. We're going to see Jedrick in that finale trying to win 3 in a row, who's drawn the rail in that race. This race just seems wide open. It's a first-time starter who's the favorite, unbearable, for Randy Morse, a barn that does not win a lot first time out.
I agree. This horse is a 1/2, very solid runner. The dam herself is pretty good. She's a 9 or 10 horses that couldn't outrun me in a horse suit. So I'm a little bit dubious of this one, though I obviously respect the money. And I think the fact that you're right, so Randy Morse doesn't win with a lot of firsters. This horse is getting bet. They know it. Is Ron McQuett really getting bet in the outside to be that price? Nick Zito trained the dam of that horse. But when you get past the firsters, maybe it's just a case of people looking and saying, I don't want any of these, so I'll go with the first-time starters. I understand why the 4 is bet, but I can't tell if the 4 can run a step anymore, you know?
And, the other first-timer for Moquette on the outside, maybe that horse does have some speed because she has a bullet 3-furlong gate drill coming in, so she must have some quickness. That was 35 flat. But again, as Paulie alluded to, breaking from the outside maybe can break the open space, and that could be a bad thing. Let's go to Jim Byers for the call. Here's the 5th from Oaklawn.
They're in the gate. They're off. Very slow start for Unbearable. She spots them 2 lengths at the start. Quarantined is driving out for the early lead. Laurie's Eyes on the inside is next. Wonder Strike to the outside, moving up to put pressure on the leader. Wonder Strike, this first-time starter, is taking over the lead here and is taking over by 1.25 lengths. Quarantined is next in second, gap of 2 to Laurie's Eyes in third. Dancing in the Pulpit fourth. In between runners, A Seal is a 3-wide fifth. Then comes Unbearable in behind them in sixth and a path off the rail. Followed to the outside by Dixie Girl 2, then Fox Pass. Then it's a long way back to Greer Crossing. Rosalie's Destiny is in front of 2 runners. They are May Disco and Dr. Wood's Miracle. And here's the final quarter mile. Wonder Strike from that outside post Ramsey Zimmerman has the lead on the rail. Quarantined is next in second, and Unbearable is now splitting between those two. And here comes Unbearable, dancing in the pulpit on the extreme outside. And Unbearable at the furlong marker goes to the lead, but is challenged here by Dancing in the Pulpit. Late bid coming for May Disco, but in the final strides, Unbearable. Despite the rugged start, is going to win at 2.5. Over Dancing in the Pulpit, May Disco, and Lori's Eyes, a little tight for the show.
Unbelievable. Totally left out of the gate, and it looked like race over in her debut. Wins first time out at 9-2.
It's kind of an emotional moment for me, Greg. It's rare that a horse named for me actually wins, so I'm kind of excited about Unbearable getting
You're
it
kidding,
done.
but research department is looking into it. Back in New York, you're 5 minutes away from the 6. Here's Will Be Famous, who was beat by How's Your Cash Flow 2 back.
I thought she couldn't blues to that horse. She got drowned. She ran a huge figure last time beating the boys.
Grace and Charm at 7-1. Trevor McCarthy.
Yeah, not named after me. Did run well enough last time. As Trevor McCarthy returns, he's looking for a second win in his second mount.
Yeah, good to have him back.
Yes.
So here she is, start number 2 for a filly who was dominant in the debut.
I don't know. I feel exactly like Maggie does. I don't know what to make of her, but she runs her debut. She's going to win.
Sicilian Grandma, just claimed by Mike Maker.
I just don't know if she's fast enough. You have to hope the 3 doesn't show up.
7-1, Lady Shylock. We know we'll get speed from her.
Yeah, Robbie Falcone would prefer the weather forecast for tonight for this horse because she ran well in the slop first time out.
Curlin's Choir, 4-1, Dylan Davis. This one off the claim, Charlie Baker.
Always respect Charlie Baker off the claim, but she just got to get faster, a lot faster.
And Lockbox at 6-1 outside for Ralph D'Alessandro.
Good argument. This horse spent much of her last race on a dead rail where she was forcing a pace from the inside. Different situation drawing outside. She is my upset pick.
Man, who always had a strong cash flow. Jonathan Kinchin, what do you think of the 9-5 favorite here, JK?
I mean, I think there's a lot of questions around the horse. How's your cash flow, the 3? But I think one of the things is, and Andy's going to smirk a little bit, and you will too, Wolfie, and Maggie, and everyone else listening. I feel like this pace is going to be fast. How's your cash flow was attending an honest pace. The 1 Will Be Famous has been involved in very fast paces throughout the career. The 5 Lady Shylock involved in fast paces. And at this level, I don't see how you try to change these horses' styles. I just feel like those 3 are going to go. In most of those situations, I would go with the speed of the speed being the horse that I think can win, or a horse drawn towards the outside. In those situations, that kind of would be maybe the 5 Lady Shylock drawn towards the outside. I think that of those 3, she would be the one I would probably be the most interested in wagering on. But I'm going to just wager this thing might fall apart a little bit. And there wasn't a deep closer in here, but I thought maybe the 2 Grace and Charm. Just maybe the 2 Grace and Charm could kind of get that trip. They kind of take back a little bit, make one run, not get involved with all the speed in here. But if I'm talking about a horse that's been running in Maryland, I have to talk to my favorite Maryland bred, Maggie Wolfendale.
Liar. Brittany Russell's your favorite. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. I like that horse. I just don't know if the inside post position is going to give her any, do her any favors into this. But I kind of want to circle back to the question that Annie posed with regards to how's your cash flow. If anything, that question accentuated my point about her. Why was she in a maiden choice? Why was she a vet scratch? Why does she show up wearing front wraps here? Look, she's a little offset. It's nothing I have seen far worse. And she warmed up fine. I have no problems with her in the warm-up. At 2-1, let's play around a little bit, but there's no denying the fact that she gets back to her first race. She's much the best and a very, very likely winner. But as JK was pointing out the speed, let's talk a little bit about intention. I feel like there's intention with the rail horse here. With number 1, Will Be Famous, with Jaime Torres aboard. I mean, he gunned her away from the pony, is warming her up with vigor. She's definitely on her toes. I don't like her, but you got to wonder, did the light bulb go off at all last time out? We'll see. But I do feel like when you talk about the pace, she's involved in it. As another one that likes to be forward is going to be my pick here. And this is maybe just a little bit of a Charlie Baker nod. But number 6, Curlin's Choir, I thought, battled back really well against Sicilian Grandma, who she'll face here yet again, and gets back to a fast track. And I just feel like I haven't seen her before. This is actually the first time I'm laying eyes on her, but she makes a lovely impression. She's warmed up well, and she's going to have that outside position where she can kind of see what's happening to her inside and let the chips fall as they may, and maybe she's the one that capitalizes on all that unfolding. Greg?
Maggie, thank you. We're going to take a look here at Lockbox with its outside post here, 7-1, and Eric Cancel will be aboard.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're looking for a closer. And I agree with Jonathan that there's plenty of pace signed on in this race. The problem is that frequently one person goes and everybody's afraid of them, and I'm afraid they may be afraid of Manny Franco and How's Your Cash Flow, and she may get loose in a race where I don't think she's supposed to. Having said that, Lockbox, though, on the pace in some of her races, she doesn't have the speed to keep up here. And I think with Eric Cancel, who is a less aggressive rider, I think it may very well suit this horse here. You're going to see her sitting back more. She was really thrust into a difficult situation last time. A wet track where the rail wasn't the place to be, down on the inside until they hit the stretch where she eased off it a little bit. She really broke a step slow, rushed up into a pace that collapsed, better horses, and now she's in an ideal situation. She's faced some tough fields, and I thought this was a race where she'd get her best chance to win. I put her second to the favorite, the 3, and I even used the 1, Will Be Famous, who ran a big figure last time, but I'm going to take Lockbox.
A lot of skepticism for the 7-5 favorite, who is just making start number 2, the figure she earned in the debut, better than what anybody in here has run. No one seems to believe it with a lot of confidence. Can she move even forward maybe here in start number 2? We will see. Manny Franco for Rudy Rodrigues on the 6-5 favorite. There she is stepping in. How's Your Cash Flow? Trained by Rudy Rodrigues. Chris Griffin with the call here, the 6 from Aqueduct.
Three out, Lady Shylock. Curlin's Choir. Lockbox. All in line. All set. And they're off. Good break to the outside from Curlin's Choir is there with Lockbox, and they line up once again as How's Your Cash Flow is in that early mix. At the rail there, it will Be Famous. And then in the 3 path comes Lady Shylock. It's a scramble on for the front. Will Be Famous. Jamie Torres, they've secured the front end. They're up by a full length. Tracking from second is Lady Shylock. Back to third now is How's Your Cash Flow, who's looking to get off the rail with less than 4 furlongs to go. Curlin's Choir is moving towards rivals here from the 4 spot. In behind runners is Grace and Charm. Then Sicilian Grandma. The trailer is Lockbox. This leader is getting away. They went 22-1 for a pumped-up opening quarter mile. Will Be Famous is trying to catch a breather. How's Your Cash Flow is now in the clear, is in full pursuit as they approach a quarter mile left to go. Will Be Famous is in front. How's Your Cash Flow starts to move closer as they reach the top of the stretch. They went 45-2 for that half-mile time. Will Be Famous has got company. How's Your Cash Flow is now pounced and taken the lead. It's How's Your Cash Flow up on the outside. Lady Shylock also moving as a pair. Curlin's Choir and Lockbox. It's How's Your Cash Flow trying to fend them off for a final 16th. How's Your Cash Flow still in front? How's Your Cash Flow up by a length and a half? How's Your Cash Flow takes the next step and gets the victory. How's Your Cash Flow? Then a photo there. Lady Shylock to the inside of Curlin's Choir and Lockbox in 1 minute 11.93 seconds.
How's Your Cash Flow? She does it again, and she was bet down to even money when the gates open.
And she didn't get the trip she got last time, and she didn't break on a dime. And the 1, you know, you see a couple of speeds not breaking that sharply, rush up. And wow, it will be famous. 22.35, just flying up front. Took a toll on her. Race collapsed, and she was able to rate How's Your Cash Flow, and this was better than these even money as we see another short price get it done.
Now, do you believe?
Well, I don't know. She ran
Against
well.
this field.
She ran well, yeah. I mean, we'll see where she goes from here. But listen, I wish I claimed her for 20.
5 just narrowly edging out the 6. 3-5-6 finish. How's Your Cash Flow? Now 2 for 2 to kick off her career, and somehow, yeah, escaped being claimed in that debut, running a big figure. 111-4 here for the 6 furlongs. And How's Your Cash Flow off to a nice start in her 2-race career. 3-5-6-7. Prices when we come back. set the stage for the 7th when we return. Feature on this Friday card. More America's Day at the Races here on our FS1 coverage right after this.
Catholic Boy, one of only 3 American 3-year-old colts in history to win Grade 1s on both dirt and turf, including the immortal Secretariat. A 6-time graded stakes winner from ages 2 to 4, and the fastest 3-year-old of his crop over 10 furlongs.
He's so impressive today, the others didn't even have a prayer. Catholic Boy rolls in the run. Happy Travers.
Dual surface Grade 1 winner Catholic Boy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on FS1. Thanks for being with us on this Friday afternoon. Our program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. 2-for-2 start to this 3-year-old filly's career. Trained by Rudy Rodrigues, Manny Franco aboard for both wins with How's Your Cash Flow?
Yeah, and not the way you necessarily expected it to go, and she showed a new dimension. Able to rate comfortably in this race as Will Be Famous ran off to that fast pace. Almost like she ran the race without her in there. Others tried to catch her. They could not do it. She drifted in the stretch. I'm not sure she's a filly we're going to see a lot of. But against these kind of horses, she's just a little better than they are. Look good at the end too, right? She straightening away from them.
Yeah, even money again in the end here. $4.10 for the win. Lady Shylock at 11-1. Curlin's Choir completing the trifecta.
Curlin's Choir was 3-1?
Yeah. Charlie Baker off the claim with Dylan.
Bizarre. What? I bet she was a much bigger price morning line.
All right, let's go back to Oaklawn. Here's the beginning for the 5-on-barrel first-time starter. Race done, right? No chance from here first time out.
Incredible. As I was saying to you, if you bet on that horse, you were just like sick.
You think you're cursed.
I mean, and not only does she win, she gets to lead top of the stretch. So in half mile, she went from what, 5-6 behind the break. And that was a legitimate slow break. That wasn't a length slow. That was 3 or 4 lengths slow.
And here takes command and over and done in the debut.
Yeah.
Randy Morse, Rafael Bejarano.
There's so much in the game that's counterintuitive, right? You're saying, and rightfully so, that Randy Morse, not a trainer, you see win with a lot of first-time stars, but when he has a horse that gets bet, it's a lot more. 3-1 on him is probably more money than even money on a Todd Pletcher or a Brad Cox at Oaklawn.
Yeah, in the end, 9-2, still significant money. Pick 5. There it is. Divided by 4.
I didn't have it. So how much?
900?
680, 660, 60, 68, 67, 667, something like that.
Race 6, we'll get into. We're going to stretch out to a mile and 16th. Starter allowance to come, and the main event from Aqueduct is up next. 6-furlong sprint. Back at the top of the show, we talked about Backed by Gold. We also have the Rodrigues brothers Getting set to go head-to-head. Rudy Rodrigues with Diva Banker. Gustavo with Quality Stones. The 2 and the 5. 5-1, 8-1 respectively. We'll be back with the 7th right after this.
City of Light, a multiple Grade 1 winner with $5.6 million in earnings. Winner of the Grade 1 Malibu, the Grade 1 Triple Bend, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, posting a 110 buyer, and the Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup, posting a 112 buyer. The best son to date of leading stallion Quality Road. City of Light stands to continue his sire's legacy at Lane's End.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
These are the trainers and teachers, the cooks, carpenters, and clockers, grooms and gardeners. These are the hard-working people who show up every day to keep horse racing running across the state. Good-paying jobs that support New York families, along with the thousands of local businesses that depend on Belmont Park. Modernizing Belmont Park would generate $1 billion in economic activity and protect and create thousands of jobs. Albany, create New York jobs. Modernize Belmont Park.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Trainers Rudy and Gustavo Rodrigues come from a family of 10 brothers, 5 of which have worked in the thoroughbred industry. But training wasn't their first job.
I was a jockey for almost close to 17 years.
And here's the wire, and Frost Giant, a huge upset.
I broke a lot of bones. So that was easy for me to change, I guess. You know, when you're riding back horses and falling down a lot and being in the hospital a lot, you know, it's tough.
I had 2 jobs. I was working for Rick Dotro as an exercise rider, and I used to park cars, for Naira.
Over here in the back, it was in the preferred parking.
Yeah, over here. I did it for like a few years,
So
maybe more than 10 years.
This little spot is still close.
Yeah.
Parking cars aside, the brothers decided to work together. Rudy would get his trainer's license, and Gustavo would come work for him. But that took some encouragement.
He didn't really want to do it, but I kind of like was pushing him, to do it because he knew a lot of owners, and I thought maybe through him we wanted to do our own thing, but he didn't really want to do it. And I was
I want to keep falling out on the horses still. I want to keep riding.
And little by little he made it.
Vijack to win the Kelso Handicap. Dad's Caps has won the Carter.
Condo Commando was splash-tastic.
Everything seemed to be going well. Well, most of the time.
Was okay. Couple of days, like everything else, some days good, some days bad, but
no, for
we keep moving along.
For most of the time good, we used to argue and this and that. 2 minutes go by, we everything good.
This continued until a partnership with Andrew Gurdon developed with Gustavo, and he decided to go out on his own. That would pit brother against brother on the track.
My wife, she don't like it when when we run against him. She don't like it. No, because Rudy beat us a lot. Right now, if I need anything, I ask him, and he's there for us. And if he needs something, I'm there for him.
We try to put it together,
Even we fight sometimes, but we right there.
You gotta fight sometimes to make it work, no?
Well, brothers will be brothers, but through it all, there is still a lot of respect between them.
He's very unique, and it's tough to be like him. He's more laid back.
Rudy's like,
I just go with the flow.
He don't stop, he don't stop. Rudy, he just keep going.
Yeah, I'm good. I gotta go take a shower and come back.
Well, brothers, they got a good sense of humor about things. They're going to line up against each other in here. Quality Stones, Gustavo Rodrigues, Diva Banker, the 5 for Rudy. And just a neck separated these two when they met on December 3rd of last year, with that win going to Diva Banker.
Yeah, I prefer Diva Banker. I mean, this is a race that it's another race like the last race. It's hard to believe there won't be some pace up front. That won't help Quality Stones, but it would help Diva Banker.
And the one we talked about at the top of the program, backed by Gold, the 7-5 favorite right now.
I don't want to just bet against her. I'd like to book her at that price.
Now there's Gustavo's Quality Stones. So 5-1, she inherits the rail with a scratch of the 1 that took out some of the primary speed in this race and certainly helped Quality Stones.
Well, I think Spin a Yarn is a very, very fast horse, the 3, and she's got only one way to go. You look at her, she's got to go. And what about the 6 Patria, who's got brilliant speed, and she's a turf sprint to speed, who had the dirt. So it's hard to believe between those 3, we don't see at least a little bit of pace.
We'll get to the post parade in a moment. We're going to head back to Oaklawn. Race 6 approaching the 5-minute mark to post, still listed as muddy in Hot Springs. Mile and a 16th here, 12,000 starter allowance coming up, and it's What a Country. The 2, who's the current favorite. Let's go to Paul for more.
Yeah, a very, very contentious race here, Greg. I thought a very good betting board. I thought you could go to many different ways. In fact, I thought this was one of the more difficult races. When you look at the 7 Fort Peck, you know, he's the horse that got claimed out of the Robertina Diodoro barn into the Scott Becker barn and just dividends immediately. Now, this horse is your favorite, Francisco Arrieta won, looking for a hat trick. He won races number 2 and 3 here. But also, Scott sent out 8 horses, and 4 of them have won. As you see, we're going through the post parade here. And I can understand where they're going, but I think this is a little bit of a better field. You know, What a Country in here, the 2, you talked about that. It seems like Fort Peck and him have, you know, sort of traded punches a little bit. Saw Matt Scherer a little bit earlier. He thought the mile and 3/16 race would give this horse a little bit more air. You know, being 6 years old right now, that was only the first start of his 6-year-old campaign, and he might have needed that going that long. And it was his worry was it was one of his higher races that he's ever run, buyer-wise and figure-wise, and he's just worried the 2 might bounce a little bit at 9-5. I'm not too much of a believer in the bounce factor when it comes to that, and you're over a muddy racetrack. I think it's more, should be more concerned whether the horse is going to get over the racetrack. I tell you, I think Big Country, when Big Country ran off the layoff of Remington, when I watched that replay, I was impressed. Then this horse went gate to wire, and at 15 non-2, I get it. And I think Steve might have thought, oh my God, this horse could run a little bit, and then came back, got dead left, and was continuing to make up ground. Horse looks tremendous out here. Ears are pricked forward. You're getting 6-1 on this horse. And I have a theory, and it seems like it's been that way, because Isaac Castillo got bottled up a little bit in race number 2. He probably should have won. It seems like Steve is putting his horses on the front end that he wants to send Ricardo Santana. When he wants to take a horse back to make one run, it seems like it's been Isaac Castillo. And I have a feeling the 8's going to run a huge race today. I just love the way he looked in the post parade.
Yeah, Paulie talking about Big Country for North America's all-time winningest trainer, Mr. 10,000 and counting, Steve Asmussen, and he does have Isaac Castillo. We're talking about the 8 at 5-1 right now. Fort Peck, though, taking a ton of money, as you would expect, off that effort last time out.
Yeah, and he is sort of an older, reliable horse, but at the end of the day, as Paulie pointed out, he's a horse that was claimed from Albertina Diodoro, dropping down to 10,000. And you just kind of wonder how much you trust him to keep that form. Now, he ran well last time out, so he seems to keep it, and he's kind of an old pro. But I always have trouble trusting those horses. What a Country is in good form, ran well off the claim last time, but he also got beaten by Fort Peck. I don't have a strong opinion. I thought this was a super, super competitive race.
Fort Peck, among other things, not just that impressive win last time out, the back class in that Second to Life is Good in the Kelso a couple years ago. Let's get JK's thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Andy. I mean, I do feel like this is a wide open race, and often I think in wide open races, it's sometimes the races you want to try to look for some prices. I would look to the outside, the 9 Wartime Hero. The horse has been running in, some races that are considered a little, lower level races, but the horse has been running well. He's been bet and has been kind of showing up in those spots. But then also in the last 3 races that this horse has run in Wartime Hero, there has been 6 of those horses out of those 3 races that have come back and won. The race 3 back, 3 horses have won next out. The race 2 back, 2 horses have won next out. In the last race, 1 horse has won next out. This horse fits from a speed figure standpoint, drawn towards the outside with tactical speed. I think if you're looking at a race that does feel a little wide open, give me someone who's a better price. I'll take the 9 Wartime Hero to get that nice Oaklawn Park stalking trip.
11-1 Wartime Hero, who, that figure from him, 2 back off the bench, and then he comes back and wins. Makes him, I thought, one of the horses to beat in here. I'm surprised he's double-digit odds.
Do you worry? I mean, I don't know what to make of these voided claims, and I'm wondering if I get the concept of voided claims and I get trying to help, but are they helping? Because we don't know why they're voided, and we're seeing horses come back off voided claims. And I mean, intuitively, you look and you say, well, that horse won, but the claim was voided. I don't trust that horse going forward. But we see them winning and running back to those races. And listen, if you like them, you're supposed to bet them at 12-1. But I'm wondering if those voided claims are hurting more than they're helping. And we got to try to help handicappers, not hurt them.
Still, you look at and there he is, Wartime Hero. He beats your second choice.
And beat him fair and square.
At 5-2 last time out. How voided claim or not? 11-1?
It's a crazy price. They're betting him. They're betting him like that voided claim means you can't run at all anymore. And my experience with these voided claims is these horses come back quite frequently and run just fine. So look at the last winner, even money shot at Aqueduct. That horse was not a voided claim, but was a vet scratch back about 5 or 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago, I think.
Back to something I brought up earlier in the program with Diodoro and claiming horses in route races. Does that make you give the 6?
Of course.
A little extra look here?
Of course. I'm always going to look at him. Now, this horse won a much weaker race, and I mean, he's got to improve significantly off any race he's ever run. On the other hand, he's 13-1 for a guy who has tremendous numbers. I've done worse than throwing a few dollars on horses like this, but boy, he better move this one forward. I wish he had a couple races to get back to. You know what I mean? If he had a couple races to get back to, I'd have no problem taking a small shot with him. But, geez, he just doesn't have any. But you have convinced me to lose a couple dollars on him.
He's only had 2 tries on dirt. One of them was a win. He's primarily a synthetic horse.
I can't bear you saying after the race, wait a second, Diodoro just won at a big price off the claim, and I didn't have something on him, so I'm going to lose a few dollars.
One to potentially throw in your pick 4s. Right-hand side of your screen, post parade for the featured Aqueduct's Quality Stones for Gustavo Rodrigues just went by. Here's Spin a Yarn.
Spin a Yarn has one way to go. She is a speed of speeds, but can she finish?
7 for 13 lifetime for that 6-year-old mare. Kali Magic, the 4. Chris Engelhardt trains. Dylan Davis aboard.
She's got a little of a Jekyll and Hyde thing going. She ran okay last time. She's got races that are good enough and should get pace.
There's Rudy Rodriguez' Diva Banker 7-year-old mare who's a 10-time winner.
She was wide last time against a gold rail, and I always move up horses off trips like that.
The 6 behind her, Patria, more speed.
She's a speed, but she's a turf horse.
Still the 9-5 favorite. Backed by Gold, who's won 2 of her last 3.
I think that last figure is not a figure to rely on. Her prior numbers make her, at best, a moderate contender, massively overbet, in my opinion.
Several races that make the 8 the one to beat, but not the last 2.
Yeah, I'm just hoping off the claim for Rob Adams. It looks like she's moving up. I don't think she is.
And then early edition just went by. We're back to Oaklawn. Here we go for the 6th. Jim Byers the call.
We're in the gate. And they're off. 'Tis Our Turn had the best start. Big Country is moving towards 2nd. Wartime Hero on the outside 3rd. Take Charge Gent is 4th. Hot Pastrami on the inside 5th. City Legend is racing in 6th while about 3 wide. Gap of 3 then to Fort Peck and Celerity. And What a Country is trailing the field. 7/8 to go. And What a Country is double digits off the lead here as they move on to the backstretch. 'Tis Our Turn and John Court with the lead a half length. And Big Country is prompting him. Wartime Hero to the outside, 3 deep in third. And Hot Pastrami on the inside, fourth, and is racing right alongside Take Charge Gent in the red. And then 1 length to City Legend, back toward the inside to Fort Peck. And he is in front of a pair of runners. They are What a Country, and Celerity is filtered back through the field to trail it now. 'Tis Our Turn shows the way into the far turn, 3/4 of a length. And Big Country remains a tracking second, and Wartime Hero remains third on the outside. Hot Pastrami is racing fourth toward the inside, and then comes City Legend. He's beginning to gain some ground up on the outside. Fort Peck is racing with him. Fort Peck is a good 5 lengths off the lead, being scrubbed on a bit now and feeling a backhanded tap. And then What a Country is starting to loom up outside of him and could be rallying late here as they straighten away. It's 'Tis Our Turn. Here comes City Legend down the middle of the racetrack. Big Country in between, horses under the whip. And What a Country continues to gain strongly on the outside as City Legend takes over late. And What a Country is rallying. Then 'Tis Our Turn on the inside. City Legend with the lead, a 9-1 surprise. Wins at a length and a quarter. Over What a Country, 'Tis Our Turn was third, Celerity fourth.
Diodoro does it again, claims a horse, and moves the horse forward in a route race.
13-1 to 9-1, the last flash. But thank you, Greg. If you hadn't alerted me that we need to be betting on that one, I would not have bet. So thank you, and the guy's amazing.
Incredible.
Unbelievable.
Back to New York feature race coming up, and a look at Kali Magic. Let's go to Maggie.
And while I have no problems with your current favorite, yep, she's still the favorite, backed by Gold, let's start with a horse that really moved up in my eyes once she got out on the racetrack, and that is Kali Magic. And, she's been consistent at this level. I have to give her that. And she was nondescript back in the paddock, but boy, did she come to life beneath Dylan Davis once out on the racetrack. She by far wins the warm-up contest, at least. We'll see if that transpires to mean anything on the outcome of this race. But number 5, Diva Banker, I liked her going in because, as Andy pointed out, she was against the racetrack last time and taken a little bit of a shot with her, but she has, at least towards the tail end of this year, physically just looked as though she's been doing better. And I don't mind her effort that she comes in here off of and third off of that claim. Now, number 8, Ruby's in Time. She has races that make her very competitive here, and you're kind of taking her and banking on the fact that Rob Actress can turn her life around, at least as of late. Now, she is one that I've never necessarily loved physically either, but she just looked better earlier on last year. I can't recommend her physically here, but I get why she's an appealing prospect. I'm not going to be surprised when she wins. On the outside is a Parks Invader early edition. She has tried her hand here on the Naira circuit, and she hasn't come close. But her last 2 efforts, I thought, at Parks were steps in the right direction. And maybe now, as a newly turned 5-year-old, she is kind of seeing maybe that full potential overall. God, she's a very attractive daughter of Munnings, and her last start, I think, is better than it looks off that 2-month layoff. She was kind of hustled into the race early, then went 3 to 4 wide to go up to the lead, and the winner came from far back, who would repeat in winning with an 85 by in her subsequent start. And just one that really made a lovely impression coming in here from Pennsylvania. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. Post time coming up for our Friday feature here in New York. Kali Magic has become the favorite, the 4.
She's a tough one to swallow as the favorite. I mean, I'm not saying, and I think she can win this race. I picked her third.
But not as the favorite.
Yeah, Ruby's in Time, 7-2. She was the morning line favorite. This is a tough race to make a line for. Backed by Gold has drifted up to 3-1. I don't disagree with that, but I think she should be higher. But
2, the 3, the 6, even the 7's not slow. You would expect, see a hot pace up front.
8s and 5s for me.
Ruby's in Time, stepping in. Can she get back to that form from 3, 4, 5 starts back? If she can, she's going to be dangerous. Chris Griffin, the call, the 7th from Aqueduct.
All in line. Looked set. Somebody reared up there towards the outside. Now they settle in. We're set. thought we were, just from this vantage point, trying to see those outside runners. And they're off. Pretty good break. It's Patria who's got the early speed. Patria is now up by a half length. Quality Stones is down towards the inside, and now Quality Stones is taking the front. Yeah, back there in third comes Spin a Yarn. They're followed by Back by Gold, who's up on the outside. Kali Magic is in between horses, gets real tight there, gets shuffled back to the sixth position. Out wider is Ruby's in Time. Towards the back end of the field, Diva Banker, Early Edition is the trailer. 4 furlongs left to go. Quality Stones is pumped up on the front end. It's Quality Stones who went 22-1 for that quick opening quarter mile. Here comes the run from Spin a Yarn, and Spin a Yarn is looking for room. Here is to the inside of Patria. They're second and third. Up on the far outside, Ruby's in Time is rallying on from fourth, and from the back, Kali Magic has had a tough journey, but is now trying to make up some ground with Diva Banker as they reach the top of the stretch, and just unseating the rider there was Back by Gold. Was unseated was Andre Worry at the quarter pole as they reach the top of the stretch. It's Quality Stones who's in front, and down to the inside, Early Edition has got a rail run, and Early Edition has put a nose in front. Diva Banker to the outside of Quality Stones. It's Early Edition who's got the lead. Here comes a run on the grandstand side from Kali Magic late. Early Edition will get the victory. It's Early Edition over Kali Magic, Diva Banker, then Quality Stones. Running time was 1 minute 11.31 seconds, and tending to the rider right now at the quarter pole in today's seventh.
Yeah, Back by Gold dumping Andre Worry. We'll try and get you an update when we can. It's Early Edition. Maggie mentioned this one. Nice call. Wow, 5-year-old mare goes off at 9-1 for the victory.
Well, everybody else was circling the field. Give a little credit, Sylvester Gonzalez coming up the rail, saving all the ground. Never been anything wrong with the rail today, and this horse came through. Kali Magic, belated outside bid. Diva Banker got left, made a premature wide move, just wasn't able to finish it. And my horse in here, Ruby's in Time, had nothing. Chased the pace, but had nothing. And hopefully Andre Worry and Back by Gold are okay. We don't know at this point. And the inquiry being posted, by the way, is because of the incident, not because of anything that Early Edition did. Andre Worry is walking off, we're being
That's
told.
good news.
It's good news. There
he
we're
is.
looking at him. I don't know about the horse. Hopefully Maggie will find out later.
9-4-5-2. It's Early Edition for trainer Stacy McMullen, Sylvester Gonzalez, Parks Shipper. Bit of a surprise here in the feature. Our FS1 coverage coming to a close. We're going to continue our program. We'll have the Nightcap here feature from Oaklawn over on FS2 after the short timeout.
I've enjoyed the FS1 time. I think it's going to be even better in FS2. I think we should step our games up.
I agree. We're really going to bring our A games next. So head on over to FS2. We'll see you then for the conclusion of America's Day at the Races. Welcome to America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing for the love of the race. Visit americasbestracing.net today. Feature in the books at Aqueduct. It just ran. We'll have the prices here coming up in a moment. We still have the feature to come out in Hot Springs, Arkansas at Oaklawn. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, and a whole bunch of others with us as well that I don't have time to get into it. Good to see you again, though, as we continue with our program today.
I missed you. It was a long time we were apart, and it's nice to be back here. We've still got some fun action to go. 1 here at Aqueduct, 2 at Oaklawn, and a nice weekend coming up as well.
Yeah, some of our best still yet to come. Bit of a surprise in the feature here in New York. We'll get to that in a moment. Here's what's ahead on the show. Presented by Claiborne Farm. We'll have the Nightcap here in New York. $16,000 claiming sprint. And races 7 through 9 still to come at Oaklawn on the Muddy Going. Again, Claiborne bringing us today's action here on our FS2 coverage. 9-4-5-2 in the 7th. Back here in New York, you can play all the action by getting signed up with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. When new members punch in that promo code bonus200 at sign-up. Again at NairaBets.com. Early Edition coming in from Ben Salem at Parks, picking up just the 3rd win in 21 career starts.
A very nice ride by Sylvester Gonzalez coming up the fence. You see these others, they try to circle the field with Diva Banker. And, I'm not trying to knock Jamie Torres, who's been riding very well here, but I think it shows learning curve with apprentices. Horse got left, made that big sort of middle sweeping move, and I'm not saying the horse would have won, and I'm not trying to beat up on him at all, but it shows the experience level. Whereas this rider gave an absolutely perfect ride, and it's sort of tough, and I think that Diva Banker ran well in here, but early motion edition. Nice call by Maggie, talking about the horse looked good last time on the track and before the race, and an excellent ride as well.
And that hot pace we expected really didn't materialize.
Well, it was a fast pace,
but we didn't see
it
all
wasn't
three of
dueling,
those go.
right? But that's what happens when you have those speeds. I mean, 22:34, 45:75. Yeah. They're moving, especially for this level. And actually, Quality Stones ran fairly well to finish 4th when you consider how the race collapsed at the end.
9.452 finish, 9-1 early edition in here, and we did have Andre Worry dropped from back by Gold. We saw Andre walking off the track. That was very good news. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, Greg, with regards to Andre, no complaints, heading to first aid to be checked out. But so pleased to be joined here by Stacy and all over. Breeder, owner, trainer. Talk a little bit about the development of early edition.
She's just getting better as she gets older. She's just finally figured it out. She is a big girl, like you said, so it's taken her longer. But I'm just thrilled to death, and I'm really glad that she liked it here since I am the breeder, and that's great.
And brave ride by Sylvester, too, to go up the rail with her. Everybody was kind of swinging wide, and he snuck up the rail and bided his time, and boy, did that pay off.
It sure did. I love Sylvester, to where he saved all the ground, made it easy for her, so it was just worked out to perfection.
And it's so much more meaningful. I mean, obviously, I would think you've been with her since day one. To watch the development, it's just so special.
It is so special. You're absolutely right. I love her. Yeah.
Congratulations. Big splash.
Thanks.
What a big performance by early edition, Greg, and making one lady to my left very, very happy and proud.
As she should be. And yeah, as this mare continues to progress in age, it seems like the best is ahead of her.
Yeah, she had been a weird horse because I want to believe, I'm telling you the right horse, I don't have her lifetime PPs, but I think this horse that showed up here last winter, she hadn't been that good in her career, and she ran a huge figure to break her maiden, and I think she ran 2nd here at a big price, and she improved, and a nice job by her, and as she mentioned as well, what a terrific ride this horse got.
Still have the Nightcap coming up, and we have the best yet to come out at Oaklawn in Hot Springs. Got a maiden race next that appears wide open. And then 2 very good allowance races to close things out. More America's Day at the Races on FS2 right after this.
Tampa Bay Downs has a rich thoroughbred horse racing history in Florida dating back to 1926. Celebrities such as Babe Ruth, Jack Dempsey, and John Ringling all attended opening day. In 1981, Hall of Fame jockey Julie Crone won her first career race here, and in 2007 we saw Street Sense win the Tampa Bay Derby and go on later that year to win the Kentucky Derby. Featuring full fields, great turf racing, and a 15% takeout on our Pick 5. Tampa Bay Downs is live racing every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
I get up, my alarm goes off at 4:30, and I make a cup of coffee, and I read my Bible, make sure I'm in the right mindset to deal with the horses and the people. And then I jump on my first one and jog or gallop or work, whatever I'm doing. Danny Pish is the trainer who got me started. It was in Texas, and I hot walked and, you know, all that stuff. My mom ended up marrying a jockey, and then eventually he started letting me gallop, and I was like, this is so much fun! And so when I graduated college, I was like, oh, I'll go back and work for Danny. And then I convinced myself that I better just take some time away from the track, be with family, and see if this is even something I wanted to do. And I hated it. I worked as a waitress, I worked for a wildlife refuge, I worked for a paper, I worked for a podcast. I tried it all, and I was like, oh, I just don't have a passion for any of this. And then, of course, working for Wayne led me into Dallas. He'll probably tell you that I'm too tall to be galloping, because that was the first comment he made. He told me that he walked out of his office when I went to go get hired. He walked out of the office, and he looked me up and down and looked to his gallop girl at the time, Danielle, and said, is this Giraffe who's supposed to gallop for us? I said, yes, sir, I am.
Well, Jade, you know, is slight built. She's all legs, and of course, when they get up on these horses and these exercise riders, they've got to double those legs down. And I was just kidding her, kind of saying, "Boy, he looks like a giraffe on this one." But she is a talented girl, and you know the thing that makes a difference with girls like Jade is they have a passion for the job. They really care about the horses, and Jade was no exception. She knew every horse that she was involved with. She felt every little bit of pain if they didn't do well. She was a wonderful employee, then she became totally involved.
And that is why I love and adore him so much, is he did so much for my career, of course, but so much more for me as a person. It's always, you got to compliment 3 people today, and you need to make sure you're smiling at people. And his big quote, which he stole off of some famous football coach, which I don't remember, is, we don't do things right some of the time, we do things right all of the time. Winning isn't a sometimes thing, it's an all the time thing. And that just rings in my head days that I just don't want to do it, I don't want to be here, I don't want to rake the shed row, or I don't want to backtrack the horse this far. That'll just ring through my head, and I'll be like, gosh darn it, Wayne Lucas. And so he really just cares about his people. He wants to see them succeed, which is why he's made so many great trainers, because his heart is for his people and to teach them to go on and succeed and make this world better. I just feel like it's a desire that God's given me, and I don't want to waste that. I want to honor him as much as I can in it. I got to be up at 4:30, so usually I'll just go home and chill with the dog on the front porch.
Well, maybe the next great trainer, we'll see. Found an article about her just a couple of years ago saying, yeah, hoping to be a trainer one day. Started actually not liking the sport at all, and then fell in love with horses.
Who wouldn't like the sport? What's going on here, Brad?
Well, she came around eventually.
Thank God. 8
minutes away from the 7th on this muddy going in Hot Springs. And the favorite at 9-5, Vow, Steve Asmussen, who has a pair of fillies in the race.
I kind of smoked this one out. You know, I thought this one actually looked like a player in here. What about I'm sorry, I was looking at a different horse. The 3 seemed like the horse to beat. I didn't have any clever ideas. Tyrona, maybe? Where'd that race come from last time? Stretching out off that.
Yeah, and how do you feel this barn stretching out? I mean, the horse had gone long before and showed nothing.
Stretching out in the dirt with maidens, this barn is 0 for 17. 8 of them hit the board, though, for what it's worth. I don't know. Where did that race come from last time at 46-1?
I do have one I thought was a little interesting, and only because it's Ron Moquette with Little Dixie, the 7, 14-1 right now. First time out faced Pate, or Pate.
Whichever. I prefer Pate because I like to eat it.
Second beat a neck in the Dixie Bell. And this Dan actually produced Arham, who's a 3-time winner, and regularly has run dirt races routing in the 90s Buyers figure-wise.
And the Union Rags is certainly more likely to be effective going long than going short, so I'm not going to knock it. And looking at Tyrona, if you look at the winner of that race, that horse has been running 60 figures and ran an 80, but did run a 74 the next time, for what it's worth. I don't have a strong opinion. I mean, it's not like I love Vow, and it's not like the Ashton barn has great numbers stretching out, particularly at Oaklawn.
Now let's look at that Tyrona Vow race back on January 14th. Yeah, this was just huge step up for Tyrona. 46-1 in here. Kim Poole, of course, this 46-1 shot runner-up, and had a couple of early winners at the meet, 30 and I want to say 60-1.
That sounds about right. And listen, this horse had probably a better trip than Vow did that day. But the reality is Vow was a little bit wider, but the reality is that Vow wasn't finishing there. And I also don't know that Vow's supposed to make the lead in this race. I know it's a mile, but you have to think that she's a pistol on the outside is going to go, and aren't the inside two going to show some speed? What do you do with the one who was eased first time out?
Took money, was 4-1, Elusive Bell for Asmussen in the debut, and was going a mile first time out. The Grand Dam is Birdtown, Kentucky Oaks winner.
And it's an Arrogate, so distance shouldn't be a problem, which is why Steve is running back at a mile. Don't know what went wrong with this horse. Now Ricardo Santana rode first time out. Now it's Steve's son riding. Is Ricardo not here today? No, he's here. Don't really know if there's a story there. No, I don't have
way too big a I was intrigued by the one.
I was trying to make a case for Into Disco earlier, second off a layoff for Riley Mott. I don't agree with that steadied 3/8. I mean, of course, was stayed a little bit. How much it really hurt her, I don't know. But she never really got into a good position. I thought she lost a little position there. She would be my horse if I was looking for a price, but it's not like, Vow at 2-1. I don't know, man. The more I look, the less I like, to be honest with you. Maybe Jonathan's something clever to say.
Let's go to JK before this post parade.
Yeah, look, the 3 Vow has some experience, has run some okay races, takes money every time, but this is a My Racehorse horse. My Racehorse, a syndicate that has a lot of micro shares, have a lot of owners, and when you own a horse, you like to bet on them. I think a lot of times their win prices come down a little bit. I'm going to lean towards the 1, Elusive Bell. The horse did not run well, but the fact the horse is back for a Hall of Famer and Steve Asmussen shows up back at here. He legs his son up. You'd like to think that things are probably going back in the right direction. This horse took a lot of money first time out, too. Be 4-1 first time out. I do think that there could be a little bit of talent here. So while the money is on the 3 for Steve Asmussen, I think the 1 is much more interesting.
A lot of reasons to like Elusive Bell. We talked about the Grand Dam, Birdtown, won the Acorn as well, in addition to the Kentucky Oaks, and actually did produce a stakes-winning sprinter named Gorgeous Bird. Here she is, start number 2 after taking money in that debut.
Yeah, and that's a good family. Birdtown's a half to Birdstone, I believe, right?
Church Service, 14-1.
It's just this horse has had too many chances. Though I got to say, 14-1 is a big price, at least to get a piece, maybe.
Here's the favorite, Vow for Steve Asmussen.
I don't trust this horse, and I think with Jonathan, it's a good point. Over bet right now because of My Racehorse.
12-1, Awesome Alley V.
Gets back on dirt, but the races are on synthetic and turf.
You can. This one, as you mentioned, interesting. Riley Mott, Into Disco.
Yeah, I'm always kind of rooting for these Riley Mott horses. Riley's gone out in his own, worked for his dad for so long. I think you've probably heard of him. This horse did have a little trouble last time.
Bullet Drill in the slop coming in as well. Tyrona, 5-2 off that big effort we showed you.
We'll see. How legit is that number and how reliable, I should say, to run back to it.
And stretching out for the barn, too, that you mentioned problematic. Little Dixie, start number 2.
Price that you're interested in out has a pedigree to stretch out, that's for sure.
A man set for Dallas Stewart with David Cabrera.
Has that one big number to 1 3/16, an unreliable distance for figures, and had a good trip last time. That trouble was baloney.
Is this the one we're going to see in the lead?
It's tough to make him the outside, and obviously the rider not having a particularly good meet, but yeah.
16-1. She's a pistol. Let's go to Paulie.
Yeah, another head scratcher in here, although I guess one of the favorites got the job done. Not one of the favorites, but one of the horses from off the pace for Robertina Diodoro. You're not going to get Robertina Diodoro at 9-1 that often. When you get into this race, you look at a lot of these runners, and I would say 3/4 of the field has been in for a tag. So when you look at the other runners, the 8, Amoset for Dallas Stewart, has not been in for a tag. Now, Little Dixie and the 1 have only raced one time, but you look at some of the other horses in here, Into Disco has not raced into the tag, the 5. Now, Tyrona, this horse ran for maiden 30 and didn't get the job done. Now, last time at 46-1, did have traffic. But the old saying, do you go to the wedding at 47-1 and miss, and now you're going to go to the funeral here at 5-2? It's just one of those things. I can't. And, Arietta gets off the 8, and the 8, is improved with Brinklers. I thought this horse ran well last time for Dallas Stewart. This is one of the horses that has not ran for a tag, so I thought 9-2 was an okay price. Going to need some, pace to run into. Now, the 3, Vow, a horse that off the layoff, they did put in for 75. And the reason why I say that, listen, Colts and Geldings very rarely are going to get claimed for that high of a price. You'll see it here and there, but you'll see some fillies with nice pedigrees. And, every once in a while, but I just can't take her either at 5-2. I'm kind of in agreement with Jonathan that the 1 is live. I'm just worried. A big filly from the rail, she was having trouble getting in the gate last time. She was really the comment line is perfect. She was little cantankerous behind the gate, so I'm worried if she has to sit in there or if the gate crew has worked with her and maybe they'll load her last. But if she has to sit in there too long, I'm a little bit worried about the 1. So to sum things up, I don't love the 6. I think the 5 at 7-1 is a ridiculous price. That horse should not be 7-1. And at 9-2, I think Amasa has got a giant shot. And I'm kind of against the 3 as long as you guys are too as well.
Interesting race here in this 2-turn mile maiden special. Seems like a lot of ways to go. We'll get back to it. We're going to return to New York. We got the Nightcap still to come. $16,000 claiming sprint to close things out here in South Ozone Park, where the 10, wow, Debo favored right now at 2-1. We're going to look at Airport. David Jacobson, second off the claim in a nosedive down in class.
For me, one of the hard things about handicapping this race so far out was not only this horse dropping, but the fact that Quick Tempo was entered in the race. And you knew Quick Tempo had a ton of speed, and with Quick Tempo in there, Airport had no real chance. But thinking Quick Tempo felt like a horse that wasn't going to ship here and wasn't going to run, I assumed that Airport had a good chance to be the controlling speed, and on paper he now is with the 9 coming out. I think he has to be considered dangerous. I don't love that he was claimed for $25,000 at Penn National and now comes here, and I don't trust his out-of-town form, but as the controlling speed, it's hard to ignore that he is very dangerous. I am trying Gandy Dancing, though, at a price without a ton of confidence.
And Gandy Dancing the 6, 12-1 right now for an apprentice rider who already has 3 wins on today's card.
Yeah, I'm hoping for 4 out of 8 races for him. I think if you look at a little bit at Gandy Dancing, last time out, obviously things didn't go well in there. But it was also running against much tougher horses. You could say, well, he claimed this horse away from Rob Atras. Oscar Pereira's been having a very good year. He's winning at almost 18%. And I thought his race 2 back was good. He ran down a Salone speed in that race with a wide trip, a little bit against the track. I thought he ran well, and he's got figures that fit in there. And he's a crazy price at 12-1, and what I thought was a very tough race. And listen, I think Debo can win, but 8-5?
I don't get it.
Based on what? I mean, I can see him as winning this race, but not at that price. I wouldn't bet a nickel on him.
Meanwhile, here's Zertz. Manny Franco from the inside here and comes in off a win where he beat Poppy's Pride, the 3 in today's race, by a neck.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I put this replay up there when I put in the replays. We use them with Talking Horse. We use them here. So I was grasping at draws, and I thought, I'm not even sure that Airport's going to run. And so we'll have something up there. I just don't know if these horses are good enough to win. Zertz ran fine to win it, got a good trip to win it from Air Cancel. Does pick up Manny Franco, which can't hurt, but this was a lower level race. And I just think they're both meeting better horses here. And Poppy's Pride has speed, but is he really going to be able to deal with Airport?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the favorites in a 12-5 claiming race, now jumping up to 16, where you have, among others, like what we talked about before, taking a massive drop in class.
And it is important to note that the morning line favorite was Quick Tempo, and he scratched, and he was 2-1. So every horse, his morning line should go down by at least a third. So you say Debo is 8-1. Well, he would have been 9-2 or 5-1. Airport would have been 5-2. These horses are not quite as overbet as they appear towards their morning line because of the scratch of the 9, though I don't think you could have imagined that Debo would be under 2-1.
7th Oaklawn in this maiden special 2-turn mile, about to load up. It is still Vow, although the price has gotten a little bit better. 3-1 now on Vow for Asmussen. But, a few of us intrigued by the stablemate, Elusive Bell, 7-1 from that inside post here, start number 2.
I'm going to take a small flyer with Into Disco without a lot of confidence, but I thought she's a horse that could improve second off a little bit of a layout.
Stepping in for Riley Mott, the 5. There is Tyrona, the 6. Can she stretch out for the Kim Pool barn? Coming off a lifetime best figure. Career start number 6.
There's your 7, your long shot play, Little Dixie.
Yep, start number 2.
It's a hard race to take the established horses at shorter prices, and they're not super short, 3-1s and 4-1s. They just don't feel that reliable.
And Tyrona, the 6, becomes the favorite. Let's go to Jim Byers for the 7th from Oaklawn.
We'll load in now. And the last in is She's a Pistol. They're in the gate. And they're off. Vow is heading out quickly toward the lead. Toward the inside, Church Service trying to keep up with her. Into Disco is prominently placed in that second flight with Tyrona. And up on the extreme outside, She's a Pistol. And back toward the inside, it's Elusive Bell. Little Dixie is 3 wide around the clubhouse turn. Then Awesome Alley V. Amen Set is trailing the field. Vow. Isaac Castillo with the lead a neck onto the backstretch. And Tyrona is just right outside of her, prominently placed. And then it is Into Disco, and she's tugging up third, and just a path off of the rail. And Church Service on the inside is tucked right in. And then comes She's a Pistol. She's placed 5th on the outside, while about 4 wide up the backstretch. 2 lengths then to Awesome Alley V. Then comes Little Dixie. She's in front of 2 fillies. They are Elusive Bell and Amen Set. They're well past the half-mile marker. They're coming to the first finish line. And it's Vow with the lead now by only a neck. And Church Service on the inside. Tyrona to the outside. Tyrona is a length off that leading pair. And just inside of her in the lime is Into Disco. Tyrona's not responding. Into Disco into third here as they come to the head of the short stretch. Then comes Awesome Alley V in the green on the outside. She'll be 4 wide into the stretch. Into Disco comes off the turn with the lead. Up on the outside, it is Awesome Alley V moving towards second. Back along the inside, Church Service, then Vow. Final 16th of a mile. Into Disco is going to take this one and take it clear. We'll call it 3 at the end over Awesome Alley V, Church Service, and Vow.
Into Disco. Nice call, Andy. You like this one? Riley Mott, Martin Garcia.
You know, you never know when they have that much horse and they're sort of blocked behind horses. Sometimes they get out in the clear and they've just had enough. Not the case. Into Disco had run the whole way and got clear and galloped. Congrats to Riley Mott. Happy to see him get the win.
Back to New York. Nightcap. Here's our post spread. Here is Zertz coming off that neck victory against a little bit softer company.
Yeah, he's going to have to improve. But listen, Antonio Arriaga claimed him, and I'm never surprised when his horses move up off the claim.
Poppy's probably just missed in that race against Zertz.
Should have gotten it done that day, though. And he's got other speed to deal with.
Tried to go gate to wire and then just got nailed by Zertz. So 7-1. Airport, the big class dropper here, David Jacobson.
Yeah, I see him as kind of the worst to beat. I don't totally trust his form out of town. He ran against him much better last time.
Your selection, Gandy Dancing.
Thought a little bit interesting here, dropping back down to a much more reasonable level.
Midnight Charlie, Jose Gomez, new journeyman.
Comes back a very short rest last time after trying a mile and drops down. I'm always intrigued by Antonio Arriaga, and that was first time off a trainer switch.
He's got some backlash considered against this group. Striking Speed went by at 6-1.
His last race was fast, but a lot of horses got big numbers out of that race.
And then Debo still, he's not the favorite anymore, but still a short price.
Okay, it's not my racehorse, so we can't use that angle. Listen, he's got back races at Finger Lakes. They're fast enough. And he ran against much better last time and was a bit against it last time. But, man, I can see him winning. I just can't see betting with the price.
Let's go to Maggie.
Well, let's start things off on my end here, Greg, with the horse that has looked best in the warm-ups, and that's number 1 in here, Zertz, for Antonio Arriaga. Just framed himself up beautifully out on the racetrack. First off the claim for him, does get the meets leading rider with Manny Franco aboard, and I just love what I'm seeing from him, more so than what I did in the paddock, but as Andy pointed out, a little bit of a somewhat tougher spot here. And the horse that it really truly is the one to beat and will ultimately be my pick in here is number 4 Airport. I mean, just faced a world better last time out. Is quick, warms up like a quick horse. You know, those dirt sprinters, and even more so sometimes turf sprinters, they kind of have that quick action where there isn't a lot of knee action. It just kind of is a stride that just skips over the ground quite quickly, and that's exactly what he did. He looks healthy. He looks bright, happy, all things you want to see from a favorite, and the horse that definitely has the target on his back. As we'll move on to the outside, I'm with Andy. I don't get why this horse is taking so much money. Debo, number 10. He looks fine. He probably, of the logical ones, though, that are taking money, maybe underwhelmed me the most watching the warm-ups. But JK, as we get it over to you, what you got for me on Striking Speed? What a huge figure last time out.
Yeah, I did get a fast figure last time, Maggie, and when I see fast figures like that, I don't always trust them. I do trust the science of speed figures, probably more than I trust anything else in racing and handicapping. But I think sometimes to double check them, you can kind of look to see what horses have done out of that race. And there's a horse in there by the name of Caribbean. I look at Timeform US, some of my favorite figures, and Caribbean earned a 94 in that common race that they have with Striking Speed. Came back and won and ran a 99. And they're all kind of connected. So the fact that Ragtime Blues and the Printic and then Print Track, and then also Striking Speed earned those fast figures, I trust them because there's a horse in there that came back and kind of made me believe that was a real number. So, look, I think that at this price, I'm okay with taking a chance that maybe the number is a little bit higher than what you would think Striking Speed could run. But maybe Striking Speed's just starting to figure it out. I will say this, though. Last 3 starts, arguably last 4 starts, Striking Speed has not broken particularly well. If you play this horse in this race, keep your fingers crossed as the gate opens. We need this horse to pop away from there clean.
JK, Maggie, thanks. 8-5 favor the 4 here. Airport, that big drop down in class. There's Midnight Charlie stepping in. And again, the apprentice, Jaime Torres. He's on the 6 Gandy Dancing looking for his 4th winner on this Friday card. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the finale from Aqueduct.
To the outside. All in line. All set. And they're off. Airport has early speed in between horses, but hard scent is Poppy's Pride and a pace duel on the front end. They move quickly up front. Poppy's Pride takes it right to Airport. Up on the outside there in the purple silks is Striking Speed. Debo is in the blue cap, is progressing out in the center of the racetrack and has some pace to chase. Then Zertz, who's dropping back, is back to 5th. Towards the back end of the field is going to be Gandy Dancing and Midnight Charlie. 4 furlongs left to go, 22 seconds flat. Neither giving an inch here. It's Airport to the outside of Poppy's Pride, and they are flying early. Here comes Debo, who's now in 3rd, is to the outside of Striking Speed. They're 3rd and 4th, and coming after these leaders now, it's a big gap of about 6 lengths back to Gandy Dancing, who does run on as they reach a 1/4 mile left to go. The front 2 still go at it. It's Poppy's Pride. Airport is trying to shake loose. Down to the inside. Here comes Striking Speed with a ground-saving trip. Debo is not making up the ground yet. Striking Speed is kicked away. Airport is still in for the fight. Trying to battle back is Poppy's Pride from the back. Midnight Charlie's got a run. It's Striking Speed with a nice trip. Is in front, is up by a length and a half. Poppy's Pride is very game, is holding 2nd, wandering about, but Striking Speed wins the finale. Striking Speed, then Poppy's Pride, then a photo. Midnight Charlie and Gandy Dancing in 1 minute 11.27 seconds.
Striking Speed with the victory here, 5-1 to close things out here at Aqueduct.
Came out of that odd mid-figure race where he actually ran okay last time and got a great trip and got it done here. How about the effort by the number 3, Poppy's Pride, holding 2nd? And you were saying to me, and I think you're right, that 22 first quarter is one of the fastest quarters we've seen here the entire meet. Ran very well to finish 2nd, but a nice ride up the inside with a horse that got a big figure last time, a figure that's kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. But in this case, got it done. What price is this horse?
5-1.
5-1, wow. 5-1. Poppy's Pride ran so well here. Debo had a perfect trip and then nothing. 2nd horse in a row, though, the one coming up the inside, Greg, for what it's worth.
Yeah, what did you think early on the card? The inside
I didn't think the inside
seemed
looked anything
great.
special, but it certainly helped here. I mean, the first horse spun off the rail. We've seen horses do well, but I didn't think it seemed like an inside bias. Did you? Ligny was on the rail.
Far
He was a big
from it.
favorite.
It's another apprentice with a win to close things out on this Friday card. So the feature coming up in Hot Springs when we come back.
Whatever you use to predict future stallion success, breathe slowly and gaze at the desert's first great championship race. Curlin won it. So did Street Cry, Arrogate, and now, in a time even faster than Arrogate's, Mystic Guide. The cold hard fact is, after this, he was rated the best horse in the world. Mystic Guide. New to Darley.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Eclipse champion Blaine, a proven sire with over 15% lifetime stakes horses. His recent top runners include graded stakes winner and Kentucky Derby hopeful Litigate.
Litigate going to go on to win it here.
As well as Kentucky Oaks hopeful Wet Paint. Also an emerging broodmare sire, his stakes-producing daughters include the dam of Eclipse champion and Kentucky Derby favorite Forte.
Forte to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Blaine, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Naira Bets, where you can play it all, bet any track, anywhere, anytime at NairaBets.com. Striking Speed takes the Nightcap at Aqueduct at 5-1.
Bizarre race at the fast pace that never really fell apart. Yeah, Gandy Dancing and Midnight Charlie made minor runs for third and fourth, but they didn't make any real kind of run. And Striking Speed sat just off the pace, got a nice trip up the inside. And Poppy's Pride was the teeth of that battle with favored Airport, who finished nowhere. But a funny race, big pace, but it didn't really fall apart.
It wasn't Jaime Torres in the Nightcap, but half of the races won by apprentice riders today.
Yeah. Jose Gomez is probably wishing he still had that bug to get them, and it's good for these guys, and I think they ride well here. And obviously a terrific day for Jamie Torres, who had those three winners.
$12.80 for the win. Eduardo Jones owns and trains, just fourth win from 33 starts now, and the first one of the year in 5 tries. Good for Striking Speed. Pick 6 over $12,000, and the pick 5 comes back just over $1,000.
With a couple of slightly tougher horses in the last 2 legs after some logical results.
Back in the 7th at Oaklawn, you liked Into Disco. Good call here. Riley Mott and Martin Garcia.
I can imagine Riley was watching and thinking, please, I need to get some room. I need to get some room. And once Martine was able to find that room, I mean, she just basically crushed the field. A nice little run from the number 4, Awesome Alley V, coming back onto dirt from synthetic, and really had run better races on synthetic and turf before, but ran okay for second for Michael Lauer, but no threat Into Disco.
1860 for the win, 5-4-2. And the 2 co-features coming up next. We're going to look ahead to Saturday's Busher on the road to the Kentucky Oaks for 3-year-old fillies. Zerati, very impressive first time out for Rob Falcone. Can she handle an extra furlong and back up that big debut? Back with you on America's Day at the Races, program brought to you in part by Hill and Dale at Alapa. Good to have you with us on FS2. Card in the books here in South Ozone Park on the eve of the Gotham and the Busher on the road to the Kentucky Oaks for 3-year-old fillies.
Yeah, that Busher, not as big a field as the Gotham, but there are 3 very, very interesting horses in the race. 2 off maiden wins and 1 a third-time starter for Brad Cox, trying the dirt for the first time, but with plenty of pedigree to handle it.
Let's start with the boys on the road to that first Saturday in May with that 14-horse field that is going to line up in the Gotham with Derby points on the line. And Carmel Road, former Baffert going to Tim Yachtine. We will take a look at, who was second out west, now Los Al Futurity against Practical Move last time out. Had that big maiden win at Del Mar, 6-1 morning line.
Second at Los Al in the Los Al Derby. I heard he's been working well, and I know some people think he could be favored in this race. And listen, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't want to try to make a line in this race. And any of these horses, these ex-Bob Baffert horses, I think you have to respect them at some level.
Got an 82 buyer, start number 2, stretching out to a mile. Off a 5-furlong sprint, and was impressive. Faced Forte. No shame in losing that race, and then comes back with this runner-up against Practical Move ahead of Fort Bragg. See what he can do moving forward here in the 3-year-old debut coming up. That's the big question for so many of these. What happens from 2 to 3?
Yeah, and I mean, the one-turn mile is an interesting proposition. I think that's why you're seeing so many people come here. And also the fact that there's no tiger in here that everybody's going, oh, I'm so afraid I can't beat such a horse. It's a wide-open race and a really, really fun race. And I think a race worth trying to find somebody a little bit of a price to take a shot with. We'll see it works out.
We talked about one of the Brad Cox runners, earlier, Iron Clover, of course, coming in, who looks extremely fast. 2 sprints, now stretches out to a mile. What are your thoughts?
This horse will beat me, and I realize it's always a dangerous thing to say about Brad Cox, but he's run reasonable buyers. I get it, but he's doing it at shorter distances, and he's doing it against extremely weak competition. Now he faces a pretty solid field, and also a field that's laden with speed. So the idea that he can just sort of boss this field around seems highly unlikely. And while I won't be shocked if he wins the race, and I'm not even sure he'll be the favorite. Maybe he ends up 4-1, maybe he ends up 6 or 7-1 or higher. I'm not going to knock anybody's selection in this race, but for me, I'd rather go elsewhere.
So many ways to go. Is that Park Shipper in any way intrigue you, Recruiter?
The one on the outside,
Yeah.
the 14? Absolutely. That horse's races are legit.
Yeah.
Running some good horses in those races. I thought he was not impossible. I'm interested in the 12 is that Ray's Cane.
Yeah.
Who I think is an
For Ben
interesting
Colebrook.
horse. Getting back to dirt in there. His dirt races are better, and I think the mile distance could be perfect for him.
Road to the Oaks happens earlier on the card. You said not quite a 14-horse field, but there is certainly quality, it seems, at least to this point early on in their careers. We talked about Zarate going to break. 83 buyer in the debut when she won by more than 8 lengths first time out for Rob Falcone.
Second place finisher came back, improved 6 buyer points in victory the next time out. Third place finisher took a step back at 3 buyer points for what all that is worth. She was dominant. I thought speed was good this day, but not a huge advantage. There's nothing not to like about this performance. She's obviously a very, very promising horse. It's interesting. She got an 83 buyer. One of her chief rivals, Asset Purchase, got a 76 buyer, 7 points higher. Timeform US, pace-based numbers, have her with a 7-point lower number, a 94 and a 101 for Asset Purchase. Some food for thought.
And she did it 7 furlongs in the debut, too, so it's not a huge ask. Just going that 1 extra furlong for Zarate. Got to face a couple of Chad Brown runners in here as well on the outside, the 5 and 6.
Yeah, an Asset Purchase, Klarovich horse, she's making her second start. 2 years ago, Chad Brown ran search results in this race. She won, and she went on to take a tough beat to Malathot in the Kentucky Oaks. So he's done the same thing with a maiden breaker for Klarovich before. Now, I'm not saying that Asset Purchase is another search results, but her debut was a good one.
And I know you weren't a huge... She had a great 2-year-old campaign, but you weren't a huge believer in Wonder Wheel. Figure-wise, what she'd run, she wasn't some huge standout, but she got beat coming back. This picture for the Oaks seems like it is wide open.
I agree. And looking at this race, the Devona Dale, also a 1-turn mile down at Gulfstream, where you've got that very nice horse for Rusty Arnold, a Klarovich horse trying to step up and beat her. She was second to her last time. And the second-place finisher to Wonder Wheel, Leave No Trace, is returning in there as well for Phil Serpe.
Meanwhile, the Tom Fool Grade 3 One of the more interesting betting challenges on the card. Running Son of a Gun, 4-year-old for John Toscano. Kendrick Carmouche returning for the 4-year-old debut. Last seen barely beaten a grade 3 against Greeley and Ben.
And I picked him in here. I don't want to pick him as the favorite when I think it's a competitive race, but I'll tell you something about this guy. He just shows up and runs seemingly every time, runs well every time. I'm a fan, and I feel like he's the horse to beat in here.
Try and do it off the bench, 3 for 5 at Aqueduct with a runner-up finish as well. Has kept big-time company. Charge It, Gunite, Jack Christopher. Mentioned Greeley and Ben, who I believe has 32 wins in his career.
Yeah. No, I think he's terrific. And I think it's a really, really fun race. I mean, you've got a number of horses in here can win. How's the speed going to play it with Chateau and Pirate Rick? Is Pirate Rick going to clear? Can Nakatomi improve, shipping in for Wesley Ward? Little Vic has run well. Eastern Bay comes up. The General George wins. I mean, drafted figures he's going to get some pace in here. So there's a lot going on in this race. I mean, you can make cases for most horses in here.
Yeah, we say it all the time. These Lynn Cash runners, Eastern Bay, one of them, barely missed against Running Son of a Gun.
Which Lynn Cash horse will show up tomorrow? Usually it's the one that looks worse on paper.
That's a good point.
That means it would be Pirate Rick in this particular case, cutting back to 6 furlongs. But does he need Lasix to run his best races?
Yeah. Back to Oaklawn. 2 good ones remaining on this Friday card. Race 8 here. 1 mile here. 2 turns of this entry-level allowance. Same case in races 9 as well. So 2 split divisions of this race essentially coming up. I like this horse a lot here. Amongst Friends, 7-2.
Trying to switch gears. Yeah.
Upgraded to good, by the way, on the main track.
But Harrowed and good. Ran okay last time out. Not impossible.
Alvaro, Robertino Diodoro.
Yeah, the stretch out for Diodoro. Can I possibly resist? He's 19 for 77, stretching out in the dirt at Oaklawn. 25%, 248 ROI.
22-1 tap at Spirit went by. Here's Long Crow.
Long Crow is a horse that just never really got faster for Steve Asmussen at a bit of a price.
Off since April of last year as well. Megan's Honor at 8-1.
Got to bring that Hawthorne form here. Did not run well first time at Oaklawn, but it was a sloppy seal track.
Yeah, usually speed didn't break well last start. The 7 we're up to. Magoo went by. 7 Raymond for Jason Barkley.
It does figure to be a fast pace with horses like the 3, 5, and 6 in here. Raymond just feels a little on the slow side, switching from Steve Asmussen to Jason Barkley.
Mike Puich sending out Hoya Paranoia at 11-1.
You remember those old Hoya Paranoia teams? Pat Ewing and the crew.
David Wingate.
Yeah. There's good players in those teams. Sleepy Floyd going way back.
Beer Chaser at 8-1.
Beer Chaser should be able to take advantage of any kind of fast pace, but boy, needs to improve off the last.
He made that terrible pass, didn't he?
Did Sleepy make the pass?
I think he did. Stormy Pattern at 6-1.
I thought it was somebody else. Wasn't Fred somebody? Gotta look that up, Greg.
Isaac Castillo from Mike Maker outside.
No, let's go to Paul.
3 minutes to post. Yeah, let's go to Paulie.
Thanks, guys. I was trying to listen to your trivia question there. I don't know if it was Sleepy Floyd or not. I just know that James Worthy got the ball. This race is really confusing, and when looking at it, there's a ton of pace in this race, and that's why I think the 1 is getting bet in here at 5-2. Now, whether that's going to play out or not remains to be seen. This horse has launched from way out of it in the 2 starts. That since he's been claimed. It was with the purpose. You got to give Aaron Shorter a little bit of credit. A 5-year-old gelding that had run 17 times and says, let's claim and go around 2 turns. And the horse has considerably gotten better. And I think probably the 1 to hold off, considering there is so much pace in this race. You have Stormy Pattern from the outside. The 10 was a little washy, actually, in the post break, considering it's cool and windy out right now. I would think that horse might be on the engine. You guys mentioned some other ones, too, that are coming out of sprint races that could go to the front end. I would think the Michael Puich runner and Tyler Bays, if that horse breaks, has got some speed. So there's a lot of different ways to go where how's the speed going to really happen in here? And I think that maybe the public's thinking, okay, it's going to be crazy and the 1's going to be flying home late. Now, you guys did say the track has dried to good, so is that going to help or not? Diodoro, listen, this horse has improved with blinkers to 2, Alvaro. Now, this is a horse that did go long and had a little bit of success going long. Has had second-itis in his career, has his son of old fashioned. But, you know, that last race with blinkers on, he got beat by a horse called Cold as Hell. It was actually a really nice, pretty fast horse. And I think that I just don't know if the two can pass horses or if he's going to go in front. It's going to be really interesting what Ramsey Zimmerman does. And I think the other horse in here is Magoo, the 6. The last race behind Call Me Fast, who's in unbelievable form. He chased him around as long as he could and then just gave way. And maybe if he runs well, that will bode well for Tonka Warrior in the next race, Greg.
Yeah, we talked about Tonka Warrior early on in the show. That horse certainly looks like he's the one to give Jedrick some trouble and potentially Outlier as well. This race, amongst friends, bet down to 5-2 now. We saw 7-2 when the odds first opened.
Tough to take a super short price in any of these races for me. I'm not going to be surprised. What worries me is even though there's going to be a fast pace here, in dirt racing, I'm always averse to wanting to take horses with no speed at short prices. I think even our short price king, Jonathan Kinchin, might agree with that.
Gonna have to work out a trip, Jonathan.
Man, short price king. At least he called me a king. That was nice of him. The 10 Stormy Pattern for me towards the outside. This horse has had 6 works since that last start. Ran January 8th. Ran fine that day. But for whatever reason, and look, this I don't want to make too much of it. It could be races not going. But has worked 6 times since then for Mike Maker. This is only the 3rd start for Mike. This horse has improved off of every start that he's been there. Ran very poorly the first time. Then shows up, runs much better, attending a pace where he got loose that day. Now he's in the clear. He should be out towards the outside, be able to see what happens with the horses to the inside. And he's got some speed figures that absolutely fit with this group. I'm interested to see this horse. I think this horse is going to take another step forward with those 6 works and getting a little bit more acquainted with the Mike Maker barn. I like the 10, Stormy Pattern.
Royalty of any kind is a good thing. I like the 2, Alvaro, on the stretch out for Diodoro.
All right, let's take a look at him. He's 4-1 right now. 7-year-old. 5-time winner. This was back on February 5th. And he missed by a nose sprinting.
Shows how incredible our crew is that I just mentioned Alvaro and you turn around and here's a replay. I like the stretch out angle. I even like the stretch out angle off a good performance. Diodoro has fair numbers stretching out, but when he's stretching out at Oaklawn, 25-4, he is 19 for 77. So 25%, 248 ROI. The race 2 back going long was good enough, though it was at Remington, but last race showed can bring that form to Oaklawn.
That was basically a winning effort, and he has shown big ability routing already.
But he lost by a nose in a race he could have won, and he has 5 wins in 10 seconds. So he is a horse that has some sort of sense of comfort finishing second. I think the thing I like most about it, I love the circling behind the gate. I love circling because I'm a man of great patience, as you well know.
I feel like when you're finally done on our show, you're going to move to Hot Springs. You're going to be simulcast for you in Hot Springs is going to be your gig.
Watching the circling, spending my life circling. It's not impossible. When's the last time you were at Oaklawn? I was there 2019.
I have yet to visit Oaklawn, and it is absolutely on my bucket list.
You should go. Should send you. You're too valuable here, though, Greg. That's your problem. You've made yourself far too valuable on the show here. We can't afford to send you.
Think about that's probably number 1 where I've not been.
Yeah, you've been to many, many places, right?
Uh-oh.
Paulie's desperate for you to come. Paulie wants you to come. He and Maggie had so much fun.
Yeah, Greg, listen. They're opening up the infield starting next week. We could play Ring Around the Rosie, and pocket full of posies for Andy. You know what I mean? Did you guys get that?
I'm not sure I know what you mean, Paulie. The question is, do I want to know what you mean?
Well, what I'm trying to say is now I'm on camera. You guys hung me out here now. Well, I'm saying is they're opening up the infield starting next week, and we could play Ring Around the Rosie, Greg. I'll pay for your ticket to come down here, and heck, you could be my partner right here.
Can he have the cash instead, Paulie?
As long as you book us some time and we get to hang out in the mainline sports bar as well, I'm in.
I heard a lot of reports about last weekend at Oaklawn, Paulie, and I heard there was a lot of fun that Greg and I missed out on. Not naming any names, just going to keep it at that. But I've gotten a number of reports.
I think he left us.
He had enough. He's in the infield with a pocket full of posies.
5-2 favorite amongst friends.
I think we've said what we can say. I don't disagree with you. I think the key with the horse that Jonathan likes, the 10 Stormy pattern, who I certainly don't disagree as a player in here, he's got to be able to get position because any of the I think it's the 3, 5, and 6 are faster early. So from the outside post, can he leave enough and hopefully gets a little separation and kind of drift over? And in a perfect world, he gets a good position sitting fourth without losing much ground.
You brought up that Hoya Paranoia. By the way, you were right. It was Fred Brown. I remember reading an article in my local newspaper, and I was such a huge college basketball fan, and the headline of the story was Why Georgetown Won't Lose.
Really? In the 82 final against Carolina?
No. Sorry, when they played Villanova.
Oh, my gosh. I was at a dead show.
Beat.
I was at a dead show for that at Portland, Maine, and I never went to another dead show on the night of the final again. I was so mad I missed it.
Some great years.
Yeah,
those
great teams.
80s NCAA championships. We're set for the 8th amongst friends from the rail. Going to be coming from off the pace. Christian Torres meets leading rider. See the kind of trip he can work out. Let's go to Jim Byers.
10 of them, 1 mile. They're in the gate. Magoo was restless in there. They're off. And Magoo is trying for the lead here. Hoya Paranoia is alongside him. Farther out, Stormy Pattern. Megan's Honor is 4th. Raymond is out there racing in 5th. Back to the inside, it's Tappet Spirit in 6th, and then a break of about 3. Back to Alvaro, to the inside amongst friends. He's well off of it today, about 8 lengths off the lead early. Then Beer Chaser and Long Crow drop back early, and the comebacking Long Crow is going to have to come from way out of it as they advance up the backstretch. Magoo owns the lead here, 3/4 of a length. Hoya Paranoia is next in 2nd, and then a 3-deep Stormy Pattern. Megan's Honor is saving ground up the backstretch, and he's racing in 4th and is a half length in front of Raymond in the turquoise. Raymond is racing in 5th as they race into the far turn here and come to the first finish line in this short stretch mile. And then up on the outside, Alvaro is beginning to engage a bit, and he's moved to mid-pack. Amongst friends, still has some horses to get around. He's 7 lengths off the lead. Tappet Spirit has dropped back. Up outside of him is Beer Chaser. Long Crow is still trailing as they come to the head of the short stretch. Hoya Paranoia tries to stick ahead in front. Past Magoo up on the inside. And then 3 wide is Megan's Honor. 4 wide on the outside is Stormy Pattern. And even farther out, Amongst Friends is gaining ground. As they come to the final 16th, Stormy Pattern, Megan's Honor to the inside, and here's Amongst Friends, Stormy Pattern, and up on the outside, Amongst Friends, those two tight, Megan's Honor 3rd.
Tight finish late. Did Stormy Pattern get the win?
Feels like it. Good call by Jonathan. Felt like held on as Amongst Friends just did not quite get there. And it was a very good job by Castillo getting that good position we talked about. I thought the 5 was going better than the 10 as they were turning for home. But it turned out that Stormy Pattern was going better than Megan's Honor. And looks like ground out the victory on the, I know you love it, the short stretch, Greg.
I do.
We all do. We love the short stretch. My 2
4
was atrocious.
To 1 if it is Stormy Pattern here. Looks, where's this wire? Yeah.
Even yeah. That was, if anything, the inside was the edge anyway. And see the in front, yeah. Full neck.
Yeah, clear. Stormy Pattern, Mike Maker, Isaac Castillo, and a horse who has been 1st or 2nd in 8 of 14 starts, 4 wins now as well. 4-1 once again. Stormy Pattern. We have the Nightcap coming up. Same deal, 2-turn mile, entry-level allowance, and several contenders, including Jedrick, trying to get 3 in a row for trainer Mike Lauer. Stay with us.
Here comes Malathon. Here comes Clariere on the outside, and it's going to be Clariere. Nest, much the best. best. She won by better than 10 lengths.
And Elite Power gets up to win the Springfield Science Marathon. Coming to the wire. Who's it gonna be? Here's the wire. Oh, the wish has come true. That one's for you, Cody.
Would you believe that champions weren't measured by rings, but by a crown? That the history books were written on dirt? That the greatest of all time was a horse?
He is moving like a tremendous machine.
Experience the magic at this year's Belmont Stakes as we honor the 50th anniversary of Secretariat's legendary Triple Crown triumph. Join the celebration at Belmont Park on Saturday, June 10th. Tickets on sale now at BelmontStakes.com.
Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Spire speed figures, a 3-time Grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the
We're back on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage on this Friday afternoon. Thanks for being with us. 8th in the books at Oaklawn in the Nightcap. Up next, it was Stormy Pattern, Isaac Castillo, Mike Maker with the victory amongst friends, putting in that late run, but just coming up short.
Yep. Nice call by Jonathan, getting it done. Mike Maker hasn't run many there, but it seems like he's been awfully live with the few he's run. This is his 4th win, at least as far as the stats I have, and TVs I printed about 10 years ago. But just 17 starters. Nice ride getting position from the outside post as well.
Holding off that late charging amongst friends, coming up again just short. Stormy Pattern with the victory. Florida bred with the win in Hot Springs. $10.20 for that victory. And our Nightcap, same deal again. 2-turn mile, entry-level allowance. Jedrick will have the rail, looking for start number 3. Coming back on that Derby trail on Saturday. Long-awaited return of the 2-year-old champ in the Fountain of Youth. Forte returns for Todd Pletcher. Rapoli stable. We'll preview his chances at Gulfstream when we come back.
Introducing Gift Box, winner of the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap. He's a 3-time graded stakes winning millionaire with 4 triple-digit buyers and a 4 Ragazin to his name. He proved himself early as a graded stakes place 2-year-old, and now his career as a stallion is just getting started. From the first crop of the leading sire Twirling Candy out of a multiple graded stakes producing mare. Gift Box, only at Lane's End.
Would you believe that champions weren't measured by rings, but by a crown? That the history books were written on dirt? That the greatest of all time was a horse?
He is moving like a tremendous machine.
Experience the magic at this year's Belmont Stakes as we honor the 50th anniversary of Secretariat's legendary Triple Crown triumph. Join the celebration at Belmont Park on Saturday, June 10th. Tickets on sale now at BelmontStakes.com.
Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Spire speed figures, a 3-time Grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
The industry has a few things that we have to take care of better, and one was the aftercare of the horses.
If we did nothing, these horses would end up in very bad places.
Go back to where we were years and years and decades ago when it was just considered de rigueur that you could just send these horses to slaughter.
It's different than any other program that was put into place.
I remember that meeting at Belmont Park. It was a dream.
It is a first line of defense for those who are concerned about what happens to the equine athlete after he's done racing.
Without the TAA to provide that oversight, there would be a big void in terms of making sure that we have this ongoing safe environment for our off-the-track racehorses.
We started with some 21 organizations across the country, and now we're up to over 82 facilities throughout the country and giving away almost just under $25 million.
It's the one shining accomplishment that we have that we can point to say we really do love our horses.
Just the word aftercare has become part of the discussion, has been part of the vernacular in a way that it was not when I started this position around the start of 2013.
It's a daunting task that the TAA and its accredited organizations have taken on. And that's why the industry itself has got to fund it.
Every time I turn around across the country, you know, the TAA staff is there, and they're shaking hands and they're kissing babies, and they're doing the blocking and tackling right that needs to be done.
We have a social responsibility to make sure that thoroughbred aftercare is also #1 on the list.
Back on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, for the love of the race. Visit americasbestracing.net today. Love that shot.
Why does it look so much lighter on that shot than it does when I turn around and look outside? No, it's not that dark.
Black.
It's not that dark. It's
the magic of cameras.
You know, the clocks go forward a week from Sunday.
You can't
12th.
be serious. Yeah. Week from Sunday.
Yeah, early. I think it's earlier.
Huh.
That's good. So
Very
it'll
good.
no longer be dark here.
We mentioned going to break. 2-year-old Champ is coming back tomorrow. Forte finally returns. How will he come back for Todd Pletcher in the Fountain of Youth? Last time we saw him, Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner.
I don't see any reason that this horse, and maybe just to torture me because of the pronunciation of the name, but I don't see any reason why he is not considered the favorite for the Kentucky Derby. I know that they're talking about Arabian Night, but I don't think he's worked. I got a text, he hadn't worked in a few weeks.
Really?
And nobody's been very clear where he's running next. What is not to like about Fort? He's been successful in shorter races around one turn. He's been professional from his very first start. I remember talking about him in his debut with you, and even with Todd Pletcher, who agreed, a very professional horse. He seems to put that run in. He puts himself in the race. He's not a speed horse, but he's not slow. And he finishes. I thought he ran terrific in here. Did he get a good trip and a good ride? Yeah, but he beat Cave Rock, who's a legitimately good horse. And while Blazing Sevens has a right to improve, I mean, he lost by 5 lengths to him, and I'm not listening to that ridiculous trouble line. He had a smidgen of trouble. Fort's just a good horse who runs well every time, different racetracks, different circumstances. I'm a fan. I'm not saying he's going to win the Derby.
To be seen, yeah, how he comes back from 2 to 3.
Of course, you always do that. But, somebody said to me, well, he could need a race. How many of these Todd Pletcher horses off layoffs? A lot of times people will use that first start. Todd Pletcher horses are ready to roll first time. And as you say, you got to see him come out and do it. But based on his 2-year-old form, this is a very good horse.
Jonathan, are you a believer in the Champ?
Yeah, I am. Look, it's not a great comparison,
Where
but
is he?
this is a race I remember. Classic Empire, a very talented horse. There was a race where he drew to the far outside at Keeneland, and I remember that week everyone was talking about all these other horses in the race and all these other ideas, and he won from out there. And I feel like that's kind of the similar situation. It's like Forte's coming in off of a long layoff. There's these other horses that look progressive, horses that maybe could get loose, all of these situations, and I just think he's going to win. I'm not really worried about the layoff of any of the trainers that I could think of to put a saddle on this horse. Todd Pletcher's the one that I think will have no issues in having this horse ready to rock and roll. The horse had a pretty good foundation as it was, and having such an outstanding 2-year-old year. He seemed to be getting better. Irat's got a ton of confidence in the horse. And really the only other horse I think that from a speed figure standpoint that's even kind of in the same arena is Blazing Sevens. And I feel like he'll be overbet as kind of the alternative to Forte. Forte had 3 races as a 2-year-old that were all faster than anyone else in this race has run. I think he's going to be extremely tough to beat. And I agree with Andy. I think at this point, you got to think he's the favorite for the Kentucky Derby.
And good luck to getting 7-5. I think you'll agree, Jonathan. He's got to be odds on tomorrow. He's got to be odds on.
Just off reputation alone.
Not just reputation. I mean, he has delivered and delivers under all circumstances. Fast track, wet tracks, 1 turns, 2 turns. I don't see the big chink in his armor. Now, it doesn't mean others won't progress and somebody won't end up faster and he won't improve a lot as a 3-year-old. But based on his 2-year-old form, he's a legitimate champion who, in my opinion, has done a great deal on the racetrack, and I don't...
Who's knocking him?
No, but I remember reading, and David Aragona had made Arabian Night, and everyone was talking about him. He was the now horse last time. He was the favorite. I believe it's sort of like Michael Jordan when he used to win those championships. A friend of mine, I said to him, the Bulls may not be good this year. Why is he not favored in series? And a friend of mine said, he'll be favored in every series until he actually loses one. And I think Forte is, or Forte, whatever you want to say, is the favorite until he shows he's not.
We will find out tomorrow. This barn, usually when they have a good one, they just get better and better.
And they're ready.
Upcoming road to the Derby schedule. Busy Saturday afternoon on that road to that first Saturday in May tomorrow out west. With this San Felipe, we got the Gotham in New York, the champ, the 2-year-old champion Forte, and that Fountain of Youth, John Battaglia Memorial. And then March 11th, Tampa Bay Derby, and we'll get into those 100 points races not too far off.
We are 2 months away tomorrow. Exactly 2 months. So what is it? It's 31, 30, 61, 63 days away, 9 weeks away tomorrow.
Nightcap at Oaklawn. Jedrick trying to make it 3 in a row. Tonka Warrior, though, is getting hammered. 6-5 favorite for McLean Robertson. And Rafael Bejarano taking all the money right now.
It's a lot tougher spot for Jedrick.
We'll be back post-parade. We'll get Paulie's thoughts as well. That 9-horse little intriguing, too. Charter Oak stretching back out. Stay with us. Finale from Oaklawn is next.
War Dancer. The momentum continues with recent stakes winners on turf and dirt. Dancing Buck going wire to wire in the Grade 3 Belmont Turf.
Dancing Buck has opened up on the field. It is Dancing Buck by a half-dozen lengths.
And 2-year-old filly War Saichi with a wire-to-wire win in the Ladyfinger Stakes.
War Saichi asserted her authority immediately out of the starting gate, and she has not relinquished the lead.
War Dancer, the #1 third-crop turf sire in North America. Proud to stand in New York.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
First and foremost, it's a family operation. It's fun to be a fourth-generation president of Oaklawn and to see how we've grown. We've been in the same location. We haven't had to move across the street. That's kind of neat. It is about racing at Oaklawn. We tell everyone, especially our new employees, it's racing first. My great-grandfather, Louis Sella, built it in 1904. Charles Sella took over after him. John Sella took over after him, and then we had another Charles Sella. My father take it over, and now we have Louis Sella. We like keeping the same names in the family. It helps with monogramming. I would sit in on meetings even at a young age. My father would take me and say, you know, be quiet and sit in the corner, and I'd do and just listen. And throughout my life, I've been involved with racing, and it's always been really a part of me until finally when it was time to move in and commit. You can look at our media guide, which is published online as well, and look at that history. It's remarkable. We've beaten Prohibition, and we've gone through a couple of world wars and Vietnam and depressions, recessions. Truly the reason we're successful is for the reasons I just said, that we've been able to evolve, we've been able to change with the times. Beyond that, it's racing first, and really the oldest family in racetrack management in the United States. And we're very proud of that, and we're proud of that legacy. And we think that racing is successful and exciting and has a great future if you believe in it, and if you put your heart and soul in it, and you go forward with that mentality. We see that with our employees, we see that with our trainers, our horsemen. We see that with the horse owners that fly in from coast to coast because of the excitement that we have here at Oaklawn.
We're back with you on America's Day at the Races. We have the finale coming up out in Hot Springs in this first allowance 2-turn mile.
And I also want to say, I just heard from David Aragona, the morning line maker here, but also making the Derby line at DRF, and he said he's amended it, and Forte is now that Forte is the favorite, his favorite for the Derby. And I guess Arabian Nights hasn't been working for a while, so who knows? I mean, we hope we see him again, but who knows at this point, right? You're excited for Jedrick. You've gotten over how crushed you were, because I heard some crying coming here from your office when Barber Road with the scratch was announced. I heard a little something. I don't know if it was related.
You know, it's people knocking Barber Road who were expecting to see in this race. He's a scratch. He was actually primed to run a much better race than I know. John Ortiz is still high on him. We'll see. We're going to see him another day.
Makes one of us.
Here's Jedrick. So he's trying to put together 3 in a row.
It's so hard to do that, right? He wins a maiden claimer in his 12th start. Then he wins a star allowance. Now he's trying a non-winner as a 1. I might tip my hat if he can do it.
Don't forget went by. Here's Flat Out Winner.
Don't forget looks like the speed, by the way. Flat Out Winner. I don't think he looks like one.
Cat
Here's
Daddy.
Republic.
20-1.
Another long shot here.
Maybe the one who will be in front for Lynn Cash. Outlier.
Really? Think he'll be in front of the 2? Boy, Garcia'd have to be aggressive, isn't? I thought stretching out, Don't Forget, ought to go, but he's a weird one, you know. He's a little interesting outlier. What do you think?
I do, absolutely. Tonka Warrior, major player. He's a 7-5 favorite. I thought the 9 interesting too at 16-1.
Really? How's he going to work on a trip though outside with other speeds in here, stretching out?
And Costa Terra, very carefully. Off since March, this 4-year-old for Steve Asmussen.
Coming out of that very important Sunland Derby. Tonka Warrior is the worst to beat, by the way, right? But what happened last time?
Yeah, look, the figure 2 and 3 back make him
right. But last time was concerning, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Paul, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of thoughts in here because when you get to the Steve Asmussen runners, you just got to be honest with yourself. They're just not firing right now, and it just seems like when they're coming off the layoff, you might want to give them one. Now, the 11 horse on the outside is getting played in here, but there was a couple scratches in this race, and you know, obviously the one, Jedrick, is in phenomenal form. So a lot of people will overlook a horse like that, and I am. I mean, to be honest with you, because the horse won for 50, comes back, faces an okay field, beats that field, and is there confidence enough to step up against this group? I don't know. When you look at the 7 Outlier, Martin Garcia just went by me, and he said, I miss you, catch me if you can. So they're sending. And, you know, Christian Torres, I'm agreeing with Andy. When I look at the pace projector, it says 2.7 to me. I'm wondering if what Christian is going to do, what his instructions are, but that could lay big because if the 7 is out in front for a long time, this horse has put up some big numbers that can win this race. Tonka Warrior, we just saw one of his other horses run, I think in the last race. I thought ran okay considering he was the only one that stuck around in the pace. I just thought Tonka Warrior, you know, comes from way out of it. I'm a little worried that the sloppy racetrack helped him out 2 back. 3 back when Santana was aboard him, he should have won that race. So I'm wondering if off the layoff they had him cranked, and he might have just ran so evenly last time, but also he was about 7 wide around the racetrack. So he needs to work out a trip. He needs a little luck. 3-2, I don't know about 3-2. He's the horse to beat, but unless the 2 and 7 speed this race up, I just can't take at 3-2. And you know, the 11 can beat me at 7-2, and that has nothing to do with the horse. Steve Asmussen's horses right now are just not firing for me to take that price.
I don't see what race the 11's ever run to make him a contender in this race, to be honest.
I'm with you.
And he's coming off a long layoff with an outside post. I know some scratches, and I agree with Paulie about the 8. Obviously, he's got races, as you said, 2 and 3 back, but wide or not last time, he didn't run well last time, and to take him at 3-2 off that trip. But are we now worried that the 2 and 7 are going to get involved early?
Now, this is 2 starts back when, from post 12, he was second against Call Me Fast, would come back to win again.
Thought he ran well, and he had a wide trip that day, and he ran very well. If he runs this effort, he's probably going to win. But it was a sloppy, sealed track. Maybe he ran better. It is the best race that he ever ran. And I think you have to worry a little bit about horses that run their best races ever on wet tracks. And also, he's 3-2. If he was 5-1, if horses are 5-1, it's a different story. Where's the margin of error that you want to take 3-2? So I agree with Paulie. While we understand why he can win this race, he's not that appealing at that price. So,
meanwhile, I know you're not a huge fan. I know the going gets tougher for him, but at 7-2, does Jedrick become more appealing?
No, I don't like Jedrick in here. I know he got a big figure last time. I don't want to knock him off his last effort. I thought he ran well in that race. Having said that, he's not getting the same kind of trip. That was a muddy sealed track. And, I mean, to me, you're saying he's a totally new horse. Now, on the other hand, don't forget doesn't make the lead and Outlier goes. Well, don't forget it's not likely to win this race without the lead. An Outlier, I think he's dangerous if he makes the lead. I'd rather take him at 5-1. But maybe they battle it out, and Jedrick sits the good trip behind him, and he's just improved. So, yeah, he could win this race. He's just not for me, that's all.
One from a stalking position to break his he was started 0 for 11, and now he's 2 for 2. He's obviously put it together as a 5-year-old. They were patient, different connections, obviously, with this horse. But did it from off the pace, then he did it on the lead. Doesn't have to have the lead to win.
No.
But he's facing a horse here in Tonka Warrior, the likes of which he has not yet faced.
I have a question for you. Do you think the 7 is going to clear the 2?
Well, according to Paulie, Martin Garcia,
he says he wants to go.
All out.
But what if Torres goes? Torres is naturally faster. He's not that fast, Outlier. Don't forget it's faster, in my opinion. So I have trouble with it. But if somebody said to me, no, the 7's going to be in front, I'd bet the 7.
No,
if I could bet this race 16th mile into it, I'd bet him. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. You see intention, too, that they want to get to the front with this horse. But obviously they didn't plan on the 2 probably being in here. But that bullet drill coming in, 47-3 move also.
I've guessed right with Lynn Cash exactly never. So I'm not sure I want to start now.
Let's get Jonathan thoughts. Interesting finale here to close out the day.
Yeah, and look, I think the 8 makes a lot of sense in here, but I don't want to put on that crown that Andy gave me earlier about the short price king. I think the rail horse is a little bit interesting. I think, if you look at the speed figures, this horse absolutely fits in here, drawn towards the inside. I thought ran extremely well last time and showed a lot of heart. Got into a little bit of a fight in the stretch and really kind of held that position. Now, I don't think this horse is naturally as fast as some of the others in here in terms of making the lead. But a lot of times when you're drawn towards the inside with the horse who just came off of a performance that was basically a wire-to-wire performance, you'd like to think that Nick Juarez is going to be a little bit aggressive down on the inside to hold that position. This horse showed him a little something last time, showed some toughness, and showed that he runs well out there on the front end and gets comfortable. So I thought the inside horse was a good alternative to the short price favorite in the 8.
The price creeping up even more now, 4-1. There's no price you want him at, though.
There's a price I want every horse at. He's not my kind of horse, but I tell you what, I would take I would book $100 on the 12 Costa Terra if they said the 11 Costa Terra if I had to turn around and bet 100 on Jedrick. Because I think Costa Terra is supposed to be double digits here. I have absolutely no idea what's going on. The only thing I say is, horse is taking so much money, he must be working well and he'll run better than he's supposed to. But based on his PPs, he's not fast enough to be competitive, and he doesn't have a particularly good post. I don't like this horse at all. I'll get him in the winner's circle. He certainly feels to me like the one Jedrick is significantly more likely to win than the number 11 Costa Terra. So it's similar prices. I'd rather bet Jedrick.
He's a shorter. That makes no sense. He's a shorter price than the Inform horse.
I wonder if he's got really great workout reports or something. There's got to be something. Because so what that he's stake-faced? He was never competitive in any races that were particularly good. He got drowned by Rattle and Roll. And, I mean, poor Classic Causeway was third in there. He so much wants to run the Carter. He called me the other day. He said, if you could just get me back at 7 furlong dirt races, this turf route nonsense needs to stop.
His name's come up a lot today. Talking about him before we even came on the air.
That's right. He came up in the conversation in the office. That's right. Good call.
7-5.
He's everywhere.
Tonka Warrior favored throughout. Public all over him. But then last race is a little troubling. There's no question.
At the end of the day, he'll probably win, but I'm not betting him. None of us want to bet him at 7-5, even the king.
And no one wants to bet Don't Forget.
I do. I want to bet him because I think he's faster than the 7, and I think he's going to be in front. But I'm this race is. If you put a gun to my head, I'll bet on Don't Forget to wire the field, and we'll see if he actually outliers in front. But I'll take my chances that he would be in front and wire the field.
There he is, stepping in 0-for-6 at the distance, primarily a sprinter.
And according to my PPs when I printed them, this is Lynn Cash's first start of the meet at Oaklawn. Has he run any more recently?
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
Here we go, the finale. Jedrick from the rail. Can he make it 3 straight? Tonka Warrior, the 8. Toughest test he's faced yet. Jim Byers, the call with the Nightcap.
Now they're all in. They're off. Charter Oak. Don't Forget. Jedrick out well. Outlier moving up from between horses. It's going to be Don't Forget establishing the lead. Don't Forget takes the lead into the clubhouse turn. And Outlier is racing in second. Jedrick on the inside in a good spot in third. Charter Oak outside of him in fourth. And then to the inside comes Flat Out Winner. He's next to the rail racing in fifth. Alongside him is Tonka Warrior. He's splitting horses about 8 lengths off the lead early. Costa Terra is outside of him. He's in the clear but a bit wide onto the backstretch. And the slow-breaking Cat Daddy is trailing the field as they move up the backstretch. It's Don't Forget leading the way here for Christian Torres and doing it by 1.5 lengths with Outlier in pursuit. Then a good break back to a Charter Oak. And then from between horses comes Flat Out Winner, and to the inside of him is Jedrick. Jedrick is racing fifth into the far turn. And then comes Costa Terra. He's up on the outside of Tonka Warrior. Tonka Warrior is lagging behind and is in front of only Cat Daddy as they come to the top of the short stretch. The finish line is the 16th pole. And Don't Forget has opened up. He leads it by 4 or 5 coming into the stretch. And Outlier maintains the second spot. Up outside of him in the bright orange is Charter Oak, then Costa Terra. Jedrick won't get it done today, and neither will Tonka Warrior, and they come to the final 16th. And Don't Forget is going to wire them and do it by a wide margin of about 8. Up for second there was Charter Oak, then came Jedrick.
Forget got the lead to himself. Gator's first ever win going this distance in 7 tries.
And a classic situation where Martin Garcia sort of left a little of the 7 when this horse just had more natural speed. He let him go, and he had a kind of hold on this horse. They went a moderate pace, and this horse galloped.
Don't forget, 7-year-old. First ever win at the distance in his 7th start here. 9 wins overall. We are back actually on Sunday. That's our next show. No show on Saturday. We'll see you Sunday, 3 Eastern start time. Check your local listings on Fox. And a big Saturday afternoon. We'll have plenty to recap for you on Sunday on the road to the Kentucky Derby and, for that matter, the Oaks as well. It was How's Your Cash Flow in the 6th. Some did not believe. Got bet down late to even money. Now 2 for 2 to start the career for trainer Rudy Rodrigues. Impressive again against this group. Meanwhile, at Oaklawn, Stormy Pattern with the victory. Nice call from JK for the selection here. Again, we will see you Sunday, 3 Eastern on Fox Sports.